All
Thank God.
right, and we're back. We're back. So let's talk about what happened the last time we played. Very interesting doing this. As you guys can remember, when you started, you had come down to Tobias's farm, where Isaac, who is after you had befriended the people back in Tufik City, and gotten an idea of like, hey, maybe there's a problem here. They were like, all right, well, we'll take you down to Tobias's farm. Tobias was in charge. He's one of the guys that the elders had mentioned was sort of the de facto, or sort of, leaders of opposition is too strong a word, of the vocal minority that's saying, hey, we want to change things. And they suspected that he was one of the people that was behind the disappearance of the medicine, the theft of the medicine. So you guys went down to his farm and found a very interesting place. In fact, his farm was overrun with cordyceps infected humans, probably, as Isaac pointed out, probably representing Tobias's guys, fellow travelers, people that worked on his farm or people that he knew, and did a variety of things. You guys investigated the farm, found several of these cordyceps infected people, destroyed them, lit them on fire, and in the process lit both his house and his mill also on fire, while rescuing Tobias, which was a sort of bonus. He had locked himself in the mill room, the millworks, to avoid being attacked. And he told an interesting story as you guys were leaving. So you guys got the once everything was very briskly burning, you guys got out of there. But you did run into the fire teams. The local fire teams had spotted the smoke. They were on their way. Stopped them. Tobias and Isaac both talked to him and said, hey, look, throw a cordon around my place so that the fire doesn't spread, but let it burn, because cordyceps is here. And while you guys weren't party to the entirety of the conversation, it definitely looked like when they explained what was, when Tobias and Isaac explained what was going on, everybody on the fire team got very serious, and they were like, "Look, we'll throw up a cordon. We'll make sure nothing gets out, fire or other, and you guys go on your way." In the meantime, Tobias was very disconsolate. He had lost essentially his farm, his house and his mill were burning down. And he's like, if this has gotten too far, but he basically said, yeah, we stole it. We stole it because they felt like the elders were going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to be, when they came to distributing the medicine, they felt that the elders who may or may not be aware of the problems in the outlying provinces with cordyceps, but or definitely aware of what the news of a cordyceps infection would do to their trade relationships with Tufik, or with the main planetary system, which they supply with food, right? If there's a fungus that's eating the food and it turns people into mushroom zombies, that's not great PR, right? So they don't want that to get out. So they were worried that it wasn't, that the medicine was going to be parsed out, in ways that didn't make a whole lot of epidemiological sense. So they stole it and they took it, and they were like, look, we got it out here. We put it on a train out to the outlying region. It's a town called the Path of
least resistance.
The Path of least resistance. Yeah, that's the path we were talking about. Not least resistance. It's something else. It was the Path of. Hold on. Nope. Path of Elder Emmabell Stevson is the name of the town, which is sort of like out in sticks. But it does have one particular feature, is that it has a railhead, essentially. So their travel technology, I mean, the truck that you guys use is essentially an electrical truck, but it's pretty rudimentary stuff, right? They don't use obviously they don't use chemical fuels to power their trucks, and hydrogen technology, this one part of their thing with the local religion is that they eschew large amounts of technology. They're sort of Mennonite in that way. So if they find it useful, like obviously solar technology is, they would deem it to be natural. It's a good path. So they use a lot of solar to charge batteries, and those batteries are what things. But they also use rail technology. Similarly, they're all electrical. There's no steam trains here or anything like that. But essentially that's a good path for technology, but they don't have hydrogen cells or cell phones, as Don pointed out last week. The last time, they don't find those technologies to be useful. So, and they prefer an older way, but these outlying farms, and these farms can be very huge. Right. These outlying farms that cover the planet, which essentially cover the planet, what they'll do is some of them can be pretty remote, but what they do at harvest time is they'll load up their stuff on whatever wagons or electrical trucks that they use and bring it to a town that has a railhead. That way, the food gets transported. Either it gets transported to other towns where it can be. Usually, it gets transported to the city where it will be processed. So you guys remember, the city that you guys were in has a lot of food processing jobs. A lot of people who live in the city work in food processing. They process it either for local use or in large part, and this is the majority of the food, is processed for off-world transport. This is their claim to fame, essentially. So a lot of times these farmers will bring their crops into a small town. These towns are usually very small, but they have a railhead. They're put on the train. The train takes them to maybe a less small town. That small town transfers it to a bigger train. That train takes it to the city where it's processed and moved out, and everybody is happy. In this case, though, Tobias says, we knew that there was a lot of cordyceps activity in some of these very remote villages in the region of this town, Emmabell Stevson town, Path of Elder Emmabell Stevson. So that's where they sent the medicine first, because they wanted to stem the tide. And he's like, look, there were some deaths. There were some people who caught it. Burning your neighbors because they have caught an irreversible fungal disease. It's not a pleasant thing to do. And these people are very, cordial people. So they wanted to put a stop to this. They just felt like they couldn't trust the elders the elder council to do this in the manner that made sense, because they were too concerned with PR. They were too concerned that the story might get out. So that's what they did. This was 40 hours ago. So 40 hours ago, they dropped the crates of medicine off in this town, got back on the train, came back here, and essentially last night, Tobias says, the guys that I went there with, and it's my guys, right? My farmers, the people who work on my farm, my friends, started to exhibit certain characteristics. And Dr. Milagrosa begins to, sort of listen very carefully at this point. He says, look, at first there was some slurred speech. They were having trouble speaking. There were some muscle twitches and things like that, which you would recognize, Dr. Wagner would recognize as, they sort
were drunk.
That or their nervous systems were being interfered with in some way, right? So alcohol does that, drugs do that, cordyceps fungal infections do that, right? So yeah, they might have looked drunk, and they might have suspected that they were drunk. And then, a few hours later, they started collapsing, emitting spores, outgrowths through the skin of this stuff. And then they got back up and started chasing people around. Tobias is like, I saw what happened. I'm somewhat familiar with this disease. And so I knowing that I had to separate myself from them, I locked myself in the millworks and hoped that somebody would come along, and somebody did. He's like, look, I can't thank you guys enough. You basically saved my life, got me out of there. And and so I will take you to the town, and we'll retrieve the medicine, and we'll get it. We'll bring it to the council and get it as widely distributed as possible. He's like, we made a mistake by stealing this because we interfered with the time frames involved.
I appreciate him having no hard feeling that we almost took off his head with stray rounds multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, so he was a bit, the fact that you guys have, I guess you probably don't have tons of guns, but it's a couple of handguns, right? They've never seen something like that. Obviously, guns for them would be a technology whose path is wrong. right? They would consider that. So they don't have guns. They have some rudimentary tools that they have tools that could be used as weapons, like scythes, for example, but they don't. Honestly, they don't really have a lot of crime on this planet. And the reality is there's not a lot of wildlife. Nobody hunts because they don't have to, right? It was never hunting in the United States is a time honored and longstanding sort of occupation or avocation. They never did that here. They don't have to. All animals are typically part of some sort of farm. So there's no, I mean, there are wild animals, but they're not the kind of animals that you would go hunt. So they don't have firearms per se, but having seen them, I mean, both Isaac and Tobias are like, I mean, I think at one point Isaac was like, is that a gun? Can I see that? And you were like, I don't think so.
No.
He's like, can I hold that? No.
No.
Can I hold the baby? No. Yeah. So obviously, they know about guns, and they have heard these things. They're not unintelligent. They just don't, it's not part of their culture to be interested in gun ownership. And the reality is that when you have people, there's always outliers in any culture, right? So this culture here, if people don't, if people have beliefs that are antithetical to the overall planetary culture, they just simply leave the planet. They go to, they go probably to the planet where Sergei is at, where your ship's getting, still in the process of getting augmentation to it. They go there and they become residents there, and it has a technical level, and there are guns, and in fact it's quite a bit more lawless than here, but if that's where they go, and nobody stops them. I mean, it's okay. The elders would say, well, that's their path that they have to choose, and even if they've chosen to turn their back on our religion, that doesn't mean that they don't have a path. Everybody has a path. And this is their path and they've chosen it. So there's no hard feelings with that regard, but they just take off. So he's basically saying, look, 40 hours ago, we left the medicine at that town. It's about a 6-hour train ride to get there. These trains don't move super fast. They're not maglevs. We'll go back. I'll take you back. And that's what he's saying to do. As you guys pull away from the fire team, who's now, sorting out how to develop a cordon and keep people from going in there, and they are also sending off for like protective, suits to go in and potentially avoid cordyceps infection. You guys take off towards the train station.
You guys are background accordingly for the situation.
Is that a dumpster fire or a regular fire?
That's a wildfire there.
It's a wildfire. Okay. So you guys, I mean, is there anything that Tobias obviously is saddened by the demise of his farm. He knows it's a total loss. And probably what makes it worse is he knows that it's at least in part, his fault. Now, obviously he wasn't, he didn't ask for the cordyceps fungus to get on his guys, but, he feels in large part responsible. And obviously, as everybody knows, when something bad happens and you know that you really can't blame anybody else but yourself, that makes it 10 times worse. Right? That was a joke.
Like, I don't know if you can keep it in
I
modern
wouldn't know.
America.
I wouldn't know. I've never been wrong for anything about it.
Yeah, I've always been able to blame someone else.
So, basically that's the story he's told. Is there anything else? So the railroad station is about 10, 15 minutes away. You guys are driving, Isaac's driving you guys out there. Is there anything you want to ask him or any other information that you're trying to find out?
I think we need to know exactly who the contacts are. As I recall, the doc did a scan of this guy, and he had an anomaly in the old nasal passage that was unresolved just yet. But I'm not sitting next to him in the back of the pickup truck, and I think.
So Dr. Wagner,
contacts are just in case he goes full fungi zombie on us.
You did examine him, and you did a nasal examination in the ear canals and whatnot, very quick one. But yeah, you did see some anomalies in the back of his nasal cavity. It looked like a small growth. Now his eyes, Dr. Wade will tell you I don't know if he's telling you, the eyes typically when the fungus is reaching some sort of critical mass, it will, the sclera of the eyes will turn sort of a grayish color, indicative of that the fungal seeds have infected that area. But in this case, it's certainly atypical, but it does look like it potentially is a growth in the back of his throat.
Great.
I remember asking him to let me know if he so much as gets a hangnail or a headache.
Okay. He's like, I feel fine, doctor. I'm just upset over the loss of my farm. It was my father's farm before me, and his father's before him. I've worked this ground my whole life. To see it in flames, the house where, I lived with my family for generations. It's, just up in flames. The mill that I worked when I was, a child, helping to, make the flour that baked the bread for this region. He's understandably very upset.
All right, stop crying on my shoulder and just tell me if you start feeling bad.
Actually, I feel he's going to ask you to give him a deep hug and then.
We have our coffin Doyle for the hug department.
Well, so that's interesting. So does Dr. Wagner tell anybody this other than, are you going to keep it to yourself and just keep an eye on him, or how you want to handle that? This knowledge that this guy maybe.
I don't feel like right now sitting in the
time bomb,
the mystery machine, that I can talk very confidentially to anyone else. So
that would be a neat trick.
We don't have any neural net right now, so you'll have to pull us aside later.
So I kind of give a look to the captain and just kind of arch my eyebrow a little bit.
We'll waggle your eyebrows like, Captain thinks you're trying to seduce him. Oh.
Exactly.
Are you trying to seduce me?
Where would you like to go?
Where are you going to go now? Okay, so you guys get to the train station pretty quickly. It only is a 10 or 15 minute drive. You get there, the train is still there. Like it's an electrical train. It's empty. But the moment you guys arrive in the station, Tobias and Isaac sort of pop out. There's a couple of guys that are there who look like they are train guys, like maybe they are either maintenance guys or the people who actually drive the train. And Tobias and Isaac go running up to him, and Tobias is explaining to the thing. You get the impression that Tobias is probably a fairly influential person around here. Not so much by virtue of like he has some sort of elected office or anything like that, but by virtue of the fact that he's just an influential guy. Everybody seems to know him. His opinions matter in this region. And so when he explains that, you can hear him sort of like, we have to get back to the thing. How fast can you turn the train around? And they're like, well, it's ready to go now. We just need to go around and turn it around physically, so it's going back the other direction. And they're like, okay, do it. We have to go. And they, so the train guys hop on. You could hear the trains like sort of come up, and they basically move it very slowly around to a turnaround area. You can see it sort of like going, they have to do that thing with the trains where they turn them around, and it starts coming back. It takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then it's ready to go. And you guys get on the train. Now it is, what time of day is it? Did we say it was like afternoon by the time you guys got done burning this poor guy's farm down?
Yeah.
Hey,
There's two.
he's selling processed foods, and as a doctor, I'm very against processed foods.
Wherever Jix was leading the charge of burning stuff down. Enough of the pandemic, especially ones that turn you into fungi zombies.
Okay. All right. So I'm assuming you guys get on the train and they turn around. So it's about a 6-hour train ride at the speeds that they go, which are frankly marginally above walking speed. These trains are not, like I said before, they're not maglevs. They don't zoom. Then they kind of crunch along. They're bumpy. They're marginally comfortable on the inside. There's only most of these this train, the bulk of the cars are essentially for cargo. They're cargo specific. There's like two passenger cars that are connected together into sort of one long cabin that sits right behind the engine the train engine room, and then everything else is cargo, and all those are empty. So they're a little reluctant. They're like, it doesn't make us a ton of sense to run empty. And the guy's like, look, we got to get out there. So they convince him. Did you guys get on the train?
Yep.
I did.
All right.
All right.
Let's take a quick inventory again. If we find this stuff, how much? There's plenty of doses to go around if we find people start inoculating, right?
Generally,
asking
yeah.
is-
Your feeling is that there is more than enough doses for everyone on the planet to be inoculated. The problem here is distribution, and that was what Tobias was worried about.
Okay, so the secondary question, is there any side effects or downtime to taking the shot? The reason I'm asking is if we're gonna go wander into fungi zombieville, I think we might want to inoculate ourselves when we find this stuff before we keep battling. And maybe it won't be a problem, but I'm just saying that
It acts pretty quick.
Let's not be stingy with the shots.
Tobias is not a physician, so he's not sure. But Dr. Wagner, give me a quick medical check.
It gives you slurred speech.
Gives you slurred speech,
makes
and
you,
you grow an
tipsy.
interesting sort of hair. Did you see that picture
Now
of that?
this is the one that has the computer chip in it for tracking purposes, right? These vaccines.
Yes.
Okay.
Not as far as you know.
5G, baby. Yeah, that's why I get great Wi-Fi now.
You got a bunch of guys in these outlying territories that are sucking down horse dewormer. 16. Well, that's pretty good. So Wagner, you are pretty sure, knowing what you know about these things, and you could consult. You have done some research on this, and you feel like the type of inoculation that we're talking about here works very quickly. Fungal infections are oftentimes very easy to preclude. It's essentially an immune system booster. An hour after taking the inoculation will probably provide 95% of the inoculation power that you would need to avoid
It has to
infection.
be taken vaginally.
Yes, very.
Rectally, yeah, it's a rectal suppository. So
Actually, you're gonna have to do a gender reassignment for each of us. I think we're all playing dudes here, right?
and
And then vaginally.
and the delivery device for the suppository is a slingshot. So I mean, they don't have guns here, right? So I mean, it's essentially that.
But the doctors are really good aims. Have really good aim.
Yeah, stand very still. Either bend over and spat him, or you're gonna get the Cordie.
I'd rather have the Cordie.
In this case, it's an oral medicine. It's a drink. That the fastest way to get through it has to go through the alimentary canal to be most effective. You can inject it, and they probably have some that are injectable, but it's mostly you just drink it. It's a liquid, just like Don is doing.
Like Don, yeah.
He's safe from the Cordie. Don's updating his space Facebook with one of those little rings that says, took the Cordie medicine. I'm safe from the Cordie.
Double dose, baby.
All right, I'll be right back. It's time to put Cosmo to bed.
Good night, Cosmo.
Good night, Cosmo.
All right, so you can see this is sort of like a wild west train. There are these big couches and tables and stuff like that. I got you guys, if you guys want to move around a bit, the rear of the train is this way, towards the back, and the front of the train, this area here, there's a door here that leads into well, when you saw it, there's like, so in old trains, there's the gap between the car and the engine, between the cars that you have to sort of leap over. In this case, it would require some sort of dex check, but to get through there while the train is moving, they advise you not to do that, but it's possible.
And the dex check is a 5.
It's an 8, just like everything in this. Well, yeah, you could probably get some bonuses. I mean, like I said, this train isn't rock and roll. It's a pretty bumpy ride, but you're maybe doing 20 miles an hour in this train. The real benefit of these trains is the carrying capacity, not the speed.
Right.
Yeah, it's how they carry lots of stuff.
That's the benefit of all trains. I mean,
Right. So Tobias is sitting over here. There's this couple other dudes that are sitting with him. A couple of the guys that joined you guys. They're sitting in the train. There's that there's at least one guy in the engine room. These other dudes, this dude here, and this dude sitting on the other side of Isaac, and this dude talking with Tobias over the couch, are the train guys that help set up the train. A lot of times they will, when the engineer has to take a break, or if there's repairs that need to be made en route, these guys will swoop in, but they're coming along for the ride.
Can you hit which way the engine room is? This way?
The engine room is this way, yeah. So there's a door here that leads into an interstitial area, open area between the engine room and the car that you're in right now.
Okay. I want to sit here. I want to discourage anybody going to the engine room, because last thing we need is a Cordie taking down this train. So I'm going to discourage people from going that way, unless they have official business.
All right. So you guys, so is anything you want to do on the train? It's about 3 or 4 hours past before what's going to happen. So is there anything that you guys want to do beforehand? Am I telegraphing a little bit too hard? I don't know. It's.
So you guys are all going to be.
I always assume that you guys, if we have a map, there's going to be a problem. I always assume that you guys know.
Oh, great! And I just separated myself from the party. Yeah, lovely. So, guys, how do you want to play this out? I would say that we should be near the engine. If anything goes wrong, we don't need this car. We just need the engine. You guys are in the back of the train.
You thinking about severing the train, the set of train cars off from the engine?
Had to. Yeah.
That is a kick-ass hat, Andrew. I just have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's getting into this whole Mennonite thing that's going on with this planet.
Well, I saw Don with this snifter brandy.
I was going through a couple of boxes the other day, and I just want to show Dan this.
I've got that same book.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I do too, but not in that kind of
brilliant. Mine's got tape all over it.
My first copy has tape all over it.
My copy is well loved.
Andrew, you got that book?
Yeah.
Do you still got it?
Yeah, let me go get it. I'll prove
All right.
it.
Oh, mine's downstairs. No show and tell for me.
Very cool. Did you pick that up, Don, or?
Had that. I was clearing out some boxes the other day and found that. Yeah. That's from back in '83.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got a little Keep on the Borderlands with that, and then I added the Monster Manual and others later. But those are my first two D&D things.
Uh-huh.
And then I got the basic set later too. But the little Keep on the Borderlands, that was my first foray.
Pages with the female demons are stuck together, but everything else is in good shape.
You guys are gonna laugh. I don't have my original. Ooh, that is old school. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
That is old school. So you guys are gonna laugh. I don't.
Yeah.
This is my oldest one. Is right here. Can you
Oh,
guys see?
yeah. Dude.
So
That's
it's still
like
first
modern.
edition, but it's the second printing of the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah,
my
this is-
my old one anymore.
Johnny come lately over here.
This is before advanced. This is just Dungeons and Dragons box
Yeah.
set.
Yeah, I don't have that stuff anymore. I do have,
The
however.
ones I have that are in the worst condition are the Judges Guild stuff. If anybody had that stuff, that stuff was all like
Judges Guild stuff.
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah.
That stuff
It
is
doesn't hold up as well.
terrible condition. Yeah.
Yep.
So what I do have, which you guys probably don't have, is an original Dungeon Master screen.
Oh yeah.
First edition.
It disappears.
Okay.
Disappears, yeah.
Oh,
Hold on a second. I gotta fix
Take out the
this.
back.
We're players. We're not allowed to see it.
You have to take off virtual
Yeah,
background.
you got to take off your
Yeah,
virtual.
otherwise it's gonna be a thing here.
There it is.
Okay. All right. So I do have an original Dungeon Master screen. Copyright. Well, it doesn't say copyright, but also an even older original Dungeon Master screen. Look at that bad boy.
Oh wow.
How's the Silver Princess look? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
got that fella on the back. Very, very cool stuff. So yeah, I don't have my original player's handbook, but I do have 2 original Dungeon Master screens. And you can see behind me my original Greyhawk map.
Greyhawk map. Yep.
Yep. That's a 1981 purchase.
Side
Wow.
note, I don't remember how lesson I had to be talking about because it was pre me joining the group, but we were talking about something and I just told him I had gotten I just met one of my game idols, Steve Jackson, who was there.
Did you really?
And you're like, and I had something signed for him, and you're like, oh, hang on a second. You ran over and you got your Gary Gygax.
Oh yeah, the Gary Gygax signed.
Thing. And like, oh, and so we talked about D&D, and that's how I end up in Les's game. He's like, well, I don't just invite anybody. But,
Actually, I kind of do invite him.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
I don't invite anyone, just anyone I meet.
Just anyone I meet. Yeah, it's limited to my immediate facility, my range.
I want to know how many people have blocked us that you've added to your, like, you have like 60 people on that email, like.
So periodically I ask people, do you care if I keep emailing you? If you want me to take you off of this email, I can. And I've actually had a couple, who asked me to take her off was Alex Kaufman, Doug's daughter. She's like, I don't want these emails anymore. Fuck off. And so she told me to take her off, and all her pals. Eric, did you go get an old game book, or
Wait, we can be asked to be taken off the list?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, please.
I ask people all the time.
This could be your last game session right now.
Yeah, everybody's like, screw you, we don't. But it's very rarely that I have anybody who says, take me off. I had one other guy who's a friend of Tom Bowman's who's like, look, it sounds like you guys are having a blast, but I'm just so busy right now, I can't do shit. And I'm like, hey, let me know when you want to come back. And then obvious, and then the guy who got mad at Gordon for being anti-vax, and he mentioned that he was anti-vax on an email chain, and the guy's like, I'm out. So that kind of. Oh, Eric, you lost all your books decades ago. That's terrible, man. You gotta, I sold a few books, but my original demon covered Dungeon Master Guide and the original Trampier cover.
Demon is a badass.
Oh yeah, well, technically I don't think it's a demon, but that caused a lot of uninformed parents a lot of anguish when that came out, because they're like, "Are you worshiping this demon? Is this demon the one we're worshiping D&D? Is this it?"
To heavy metal and planning satanic activities.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I saw that Mazes and Monsters movie with that young comedian Tom Hanks. That was fantastic.
He's great in Bosom Buddies too.
It's one of my favorite sitcoms. They dress up like women in that show. It's crazy. All right, so you guys are on the train. Is anybody? You said you were going to take a quick inventory. Not of Dungeons and Dragons books in this case.
Inventory of just weapons again. I remember I have a pistol and a stun stick. I still have most of my rounds. I did put a few through zombies.
Well, we've got the captain and Coffin right there, so I'm gonna go stand next to them and whisper in their ears and let them know if this guy starts getting fuzzy eyebrows, shoot to kill.
Well, there's a couple ways I can see this go. Either one of them starts to turn here, or we roll into town or some of this area that's completely overrun, and it's going to be a zombie jamboree on this train. So let's know where the exits are. We have 2 exits off this thing. What do these windows look like, Les? Can we escape this window if we have to?
Yeah, I mean, they are windows. They are glass. Beyond that, they're not too fancy. They're breakable, certainly. Although frankly, you're kind of surprised, as much as this train frickin' rattles around, that they're not broken already. But yeah, they're
flammable.
The whole train looks flammable.
Does the train look flammable? Well, certainly the engine compartment is made of metal, but there's a fair amount of wood. This compartment is made, well, it's got a metal undercarriage, but a lot of it is made of wood.
Okay.
Are you all happy on the back of the car there? Because maybe I should come back there. I was thinking that I wanted to be near the engine so we could cut this loose if we had to, but I also don't want to have us in a crossfire with each other if something happens on this train. We're like shooting each other from across.
Well, it sounds like Les has a plan for what's going to happen. So I don't know.
That's what I'm asking everybody to get some input right now, so that when the shit goes down, we have at least
flying by the seat of my pants on this one.
Yeah, marginally thing. So do we know who Isaac's contact is, right? We know who that is now. Isaac's contact.
Well, Tobias is the guy that, essentially was Tobias. It was Isaac earlier basically said, I'll take you to the guy that I brought the stuff to.
All right, I want to be a little bit near Tobias because we still need him to locate the things we're doing. So
yeah, that's where I set up.
Okay, so if you're there, I'm going to be right here, guys. What about Tam and Doc and Doyle,
Often.
Coffin Doyle. You guys want to come up this way, or you?
Well, Wagner, did you tell everybody about what you've discovered in Tobias, or?
Well, I didn't want to shout across the train because Isaac and
Hey guys, I think he's
Tobias-
infected.
Well, we could all like
So
pile up
because
somewhere.
Coffin and the captain were standing next to me,
Hmm.
I
You
just
killed both of
had
those
a
guys.
Quick conference and go, hey, I checked Tobias out, and either he's a heavy coke user or he might have some fungus among us. So
So you
your
just, let,
eyes
you just let Tam sit at the same table with him. Totally fine. Okay.
Yeah, I
you
noticed
guys-
that.
Tobias is over here. So
Why don't you
here's
share-
the other
oh,
thing. Did you
why
ever
don't you share a flask?
examine Isaac?
No, I don't think we did. It was only
Probably
Tobias.
hundreds of
yeah.
rounds. You're dragging a giant bag of bullets next to you. I was like, yeah, well, I never go anywhere without my giant bag of bullets. Bullets are heavy.
One, like 100 bullets in one ladle.
When I
Wait,
go-
weren't
when I-
we all in the mystery machine together? I must have examined him.
Did you? Well, okay. So I'll just tell you, if you examined him similarly, probably you would have been prompted to examine him, and maybe everybody, after discovering that little thing in Tobias's throat. But you probably did. I'm sure you did some sort of examination on Isaac. You didn't find any indications, nothing similar. So, and he seems fine. The rest of the team, you don't feel like that they have gotten any. I mean, if you want to do a quick examination of them as well, if you do so, you won't find it. You don't find anything on them either.
Do I know, is there any natural immunity to this, or is it just a fungus that'll grow on anything?
It's just a fungus that'll grow on anything. It prefers, organic material. It's not intelligent in the traditional sense, but it does when it takes over. So your experience with this is that historically, sentience creatures, and that includes humans and aliens, have traditionally been, their immune systems have been resistant to this. The fungus gets in, the white blood cells chew it up pretty quickly, and they never materialize sort of the later exigencies. But it's usually in historical sense, this thing attacks plants and insects primarily, occasionally a very small mammal, a very small unlucky mammal with maybe some sort of immunocompromised something else, it's old or diseased or something, or
picture you
newborn.
that picture you sent is disturbing.
That's an actual picture of a wasp with the cordyceps
Yeah.
fungus in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that the guy's holding in his hand. So essentially, what the fungus does when it manages to get a foothold in a higher order animal, like an insect or a small mammal, is it manifests this weird ability to control the animal's nervous system in a way, or insect's nervous system in a way that helps to spread the fungus. Plants obviously can't do that. They can't like walk over and say, "Hey, here's some fungus for you." But certainly the spores, or the wind can spread the spores, which is why they use fire to burn this out. Fire is the ultimate destroyer of cordyceps. But yeah, that's why you're thinking that the medicine is probably going to be proof positive. It's just a simple immunoboost for a fungus that historically has shown no ability to replicate fast enough to take over a large animal or human nervous system. But because now it does, in this case on this planet, the behaviors that it exhibits when it controls a higher order human or mammal are going to be far different than a controlled insect who's trying to spread it. Right? There's a lot more faculties, right? You remember the one creature was banging on the door trying to get him to open it so that it could spread the fungus to the guy. It was making that sort of banging. So these are because of the higher capabilities of the host, the fungus seems to be able to exhibit different spread behaviors. If that makes sense.
And that's not good news.
That's not good at all. But your guess is, so Dr. Wagner, your guess with your 16 check is that this has to do with the fungus probably evolving to a fast replicating mode that simply is able to overwhelm the immune system's capabilities. It breeds, it replicates fast enough that a human or animal immune system can't can't fight it fast enough,
Right.
and it just overwhelms them. I mean, the guy says, I mean, it sort of agrees with the timeline that Tobias has mentioned, which he says, look, we dropped the stuff off 40 hours ago. My farm is in flames. My employees have mushrooms for heads, and we don't know what's going on. And that all happened in a day and a half. So yeah, this thing, once it gets a foothold in you, it replicates very fast. And your suspicion is that that's what's different about this cordyceps than most terrestrial cordyceps.
Gotcha.
It's very fecund.
I'm just trying to figure out why Tobias might have it and Isaac does not at this point.
It's possible so Tobias did tell you that he was at Path of Emmabell Stevson's at the town with his guys when they dropped off the medicine to the town. It's possible that somebody or something had already brought cordyceps to the town unknowingly, maybe a person, and was already emitting spores unknowingly.
Gotcha.
When they were there, because now all his guys are dead. Now are all of his guys that went with him, except for some of these train guys that were there, but they never got off the train. So, all his guys are dead from the fungus, and you suspect that he has it. It could be that he got it from them, like he managed to miss it at the town, but got it from them at the farm, or, it could be anything. I mean, these are spores. They're, it's hit or miss.
Okie dokie. Thank you for that information.
In our 4-hour time frame before the battle begins, I would like to shoot Isaac in the head as a preemptive strike,
Okay.
just in case he develops spores.
Please. Gotcha. So yeah, just nip it in the bud there.
Just make sure we're all get right in the stream so we all get it on our faces.
Yeah, that way. Yeah, just make sure to get some blood in your mouth. Don't miss that. You don't want to miss that. So Tobias still doesn't exhibit any symptoms. No twitching, no muscle twitches. Wagner, I would imagine, will go over to him periodically and engage him in conversation to see if he's exhibiting any signs that his nervous system is being interfered with in any way. But as far as you can tell, Dr. Wagner, he does not seem to be having any negative effects. So it could be a slow grower. It could be that he got a far smaller dose of it when he got it, and it's just taken a while. Your guess would be that, I mean, considering the time frame, it was overnight, basically, is what he said. So you're thinking about time frames. That's probably 10 to 12 hours.
Okay.
Between if you timeline it back, if they got the cordyceps infection, if he's got, and you're thinking about the patients, the mushroom zombies at his farm, if they caught it at the town that you guys are going to, then got back on the train and came back, that's 6 hours. Then there was a few hours later, and he didn't really go into details, but a few hours later, they were exhibiting twitching and muscle problems and slurred speech and that kind of stuff. And then overnight, it went from twitching and muscle spasms and drunken behavior to I'm a mushroom zombie now. So you're talking about an 18-hour incubation from infection to problem to mushroom zombie.
All right.
So depending on it, go ahead.
Is the train car open to go see the engine? I want to just
no, the door's closed.
Can I knock on it or whatever?
Well, it's not like so it's not like there's a gap. Like there's a space that's maybe
right, like a train car,
2 feet wide
so
between.
When you say closed, not locked or locked?
It's not locked.
I'm gonna go. I want to pop in there, make sure the engineer seems fine.
Okay.
How you doing there, huh?
So you're gonna if
Is that a portobello sandwich you're having?
If you open that door. A portobello sandwich. So you could pop over there. I need a dexterity check.
What? All right, fine. I just looked at my dexterity, so I know it's an 8. So that's a even roll, right?
Yeah, it's even up.
I
Now the-
fell behind the train.
You made it.
huh?
The dex check is for you to sort of like successfully negotiate the platform. So let me show you what that looks like. Is anybody going with him?
Not if I have to roll an 8.
You got to roll an 8. Does he want anyone to go with him?
This is the
I
most
did- I-
dangerous
I did-
train I've ever
I
seen.
know. I didn't think that I was taking my
Movie.
life into my hands just opening the door, but apparently.
No, you
50%
don't-
of
you
all
don't-
people, 50% of all people trying to go from one car to the next die.
I felt the chill of death on my hand and my neck.
It's
going
not.
through
It's
the-
not 50%. 8 is 2/3 of the way of 12. So I mean, it's 65%. No, I mean, it's. I was kidding about the 8. It's less than that. But you can get in there and you can actually get into this area here. Can you see that? There's like a little open cupola that has a little stairway in there and the connection to. There's another door right here.
Okay. So can I knock on it or?
Yeah, sure.
This should be the engine car, right? Or is this the fuel car or whatever?
It's the engine.
I'm gonna go through it unless you tell me I can't. So, all right.
Okay.
That's the
So-
engineer up there.
Yeah. Well, so there's 2. So let me give you a little bit of extra light here because obviously they would be in light and not darkness.
All right, you guys left the dock and Tam to watch all the zombies. I mean, townsfolk. All
All
right.
right, there's 2 dudes. One is obviously up here, and this guy here is looking. Is looking through. He just jumps off the train. He's looking through like the front of the train itself, and there's a big screen there that he can see through. It looks like it's toughened glass, but he's just watching the track like he's going to steer it off the train. There's nowhere for him to go, so it's that kind of thing. There's some very rudimentary controls over here, which he's seen. There's a co-pilot here who's standing there, and he kind of looks over. He's like, "What's a jabba?"
Is he drunk?
He kind of like shakes his head a little bit, and he's like, you can
Uh-oh.
see him sort of like, is everything okay in the back? He seems to be trying very. I mean, he gives every indication that he's enunciating very. You ever try and speak when you're drunk, and when you say, somebody says, "Hey, are you okay?" and somebody goes, and then they go, "I meant." Ba 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 jabba ba, that kind of thing, and he's very diligently trying to enunciate.
I will give him a thumbs up. I will point to his engineer companion there. How's he?
And he's like, "What?" And he gets up, and he's sort of, you can see him sort of like,
Shoot him! Shoot him!
He's trying to move, and he's sort of walking across that area to go over to talk to him, and he's like, "Oh, haven't talked to him for a few minutes. I was dozing. Let me see." And he sort of like ambles, and you can see him sort of like kind of wiggling a little bit, and you see his.
I'm gonna have
sort
to
of
kill
like
him.
his neck. He's like, "Oh, my neck hurts." And he goes over and he puts his shoulder, and he's like, "Rob, how are we doing?" And you see he puts his head on his shoulder, and this is what you see. The guy's turning away from you, and you just sort of see he puts his hand on his shoulder. He's like, "How you doing?" The guy goes,
Ah!
and his head just falls limp. Could you guys see that? I'm not sure where my camera was.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
He just sort of like wiggles a little bit and then falls. The head just falls completely backwards.
All right,
He's like,
my
"Oh,
side-
Rob, what's wrong with you?" The other guy's like, trying to shake him and that kind of thing, and he doesn't seem to wake up. 2 things. This guy's still conscious, but he's obviously having trouble speaking. And he is kind of like, he's like, "Oh, my neck hurts," that kind of thing. And the other guy seems to be unconscious, which apparently being unconscious while you're driving a train is not really that big a deal. Train's not going anywhere. It's not like you have to steer. There's no stoplights.
Say something on the same track.
gonna-
He looks unconscious.
I will try to point to him. Slow train down now. See if I can get through to him. At least I want to see what the controls are.
So
Slow the
typically there's a
train
dead
down.
man switch. In other words, there's a foot pedal you have to stand on
Right, right.
It's more like a dial that's on the thing
Yeah.
for this one,
for this
like an
one.
accelerator dial. And he's like, what'd you say? Turn to stop the train. Okay. And you see him sort of like, he sort of stumbles over to this control panel. You see his hand kind of goes off, and it's like, and he's like he can't hit the thing, and finally he gets his hand around this dial and kind of spins it, and you can feel the train sort of like it's starting to slow. Now he hasn't hit any sort of brake or anything, but it looks like he's just cutting the power down. Train's still moving, it's just slowing.
All right, so at least I can see where the power controls are. All right, I'm just gonna have a seat in your chair, or maybe you should lay down for a minute. Either one.
Okay, Rob's asleep. I've got to get on a train. And he sort of plops into this seat over here, and he's like, he sort of falls backwards a little bit. And he's kind of like, he looks like a really drunk person. And he's sort of like reaching over to the controls, and he's missing them and all this other stuff.
I'm using my my gentlemanly handkerchief covering my face, and I'm gonna go open his door. Guys, we gotta, sorry, a little farther.
I'll open up the door.
Okay. Do they have do they have this door open, or are they closed?
Yeah, I think, well, it depends. Did you guys close that door after Weber went through? And you're like, he's on his own now.
No, we were trying to watch. I didn't.
Okay.
Do I have to negotiate a dice roll now that the train's slowing down, or can I just walk across here?
You can just probably walk across. It's a big leap. You've got it through once. Once you jump across, and yeah, Coffin. So I didn't. I'm just now seeing that. Coffin, you could jump across if you wanted to. Sure.
I'm like, hey guys.
But first time I need a. Well, it's actually slowing, so it's not jonkling rare. You just sort of leap across.
I'm just like, hey guys, we got a big effing problem here. Both engineers have it.
You see, Tobias sees everybody sort of clustered around, and he was sort of dozing off, and he's like, "Is everyone all right? Is everything okay? Is there something wrong?"
I'll wave him over real quick. Is Tobias the one that's infected? Or we think might be infected?
Or yeah. I think it's Isaac.
Okay.
So Weber, give me a quick intelligence check. Actually, well, yeah, Weber primarily.
1 second.
And guys, you guys are smaller than the squares, so use your Alt key to sort of position yourself within the thing when you move, so that way it doesn't flip you to one side of it, and you find yourself half in and half out of a bulkhead or something.
So I'm 11 intelligence. So that's a +2. Is that right? Or +3?
It's +3.
Nice. Okay.
Damn, sneaking up against Tobias. He's got his gun out. Isaac's like, "Hey, can I hold that?" 10. Yeah. All right. So Tobias is sort of like, why are we slowing down? Is everything all right? And as you get close, you can see that his eyes are like very gray.
Jesus. All right.
The sclera of his eyes around his eyes.
I'll wave him towards us. Like, guys, we got to put these sick dogs down now. So let's wave Tobias here. And I guess, I don't know, it's not a great place for us to be in, but I think it'd be best if we try to finish them off. I just don't want to shoot the train controls to bits.
That might be fun. This train is out of control. All right, so Tobias is sort of like moving his way forward. He's like, "Is everything okay, Captain? Mr. Doyle, Mr. Jakes, is everyone all right?"
Yeah, I'm just gonna wave at him this way, and then we'll go into here. Like, keep an eye on. Actually, I don't know how you want to do this, but one of us should keep an eye on these two, and somebody else has to put Tobias down. Doyle, how do you want to do this, Captain? They're all infected.
I feel like
I think we really suspect Tobias, right?
What's that do? He has
He's not
gray
showing
eyes.
any sign.
No, he's got gray eyes now. And
He's not twitching. He doesn't seem to be slurring his words, but the sclera of his eyes have changed from white to a sort of like a very slatey gray color.
What I'm saying, it's time to put him down.
You guys didn't notice it probably because he was dozing and his eyes were closed. Only in the front.
Take care of the. Pardon?
Eric asked if there's windows in the train engine car. Only in the very front, there's lights coming through here. Now, the train is still moving, probably 4 or 5 miles an hour, just sort of rumbling along. This guy seems to be. Well, yeah. You mean the windows back here in the train car?
What?
Yeah. So the windows in the passenger car are quite large,
Okay.
and made of glass. Your guess is they could easily be broken. The windows in the engine room there's no windows. It's just one window. It's in the front, and it's a windscreen, and it looks to be of much more durable construction and thicker too. It's just got that sort of like, how when you look through thicker glass, it just the world has a sort of a distortion, a very minor distortion effect to it. And that's what you're seeing through here.
All right. I mean, I feel like we need some fresh air. All
Well,
right.
if these guys are infected, you can't just drop them off in the in some lonely place, because then they'll infect whatever's around them.
Yeah, you have
It
to
spreads the infection.
put them down and burn them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we're gonna drive this train because the two train chairs are all cordied up there.
Yeah.
We stop the train, right?
Well, it's still going.
down,
The guy slowed it down. It was going about 20 miles an hour. Now it's going about 4 or 5 miles an hour. So it's a lot slower. But the guy who's conscious is sort of still trying to he's all over the place with this. He can't, he's trying to, he's missing the controls. He's seems to be losing has already lost quite a bit of his sort of muscular function.
Right. How do you guys want to do this? We could blow the windscreen out, or we could try to track. Problem is, we have to touch them, and I don't want to touch them.
Right. Yeah. Does our intrepid doctor have gloves and a mask, or
He does.
We have to go back and yeah.
But he's just got them for their medical masks and medical gloves that he carries in his medical kit. He doesn't have an unlimited supply.
right.
Can I search this compartment while we're waiting for Tobias to stumble over here?
You could just peer in those side compartments. Yeah, they're essentially
I'm
bunks.
looking for medical supplies, like a med kit or something.
They're essentially
gotta
bunks. Some of them are in disarray. Some of them have been made up. The one that Doyle is standing next to looks like it hasn't been used for a while. The one you're standing next to looks like somebody was just in there.
I'm definitely not laying down in there. I'm just looking for a medical kit. Do we see?
Give me an intelligence check.
Another one. So
This is our. We don't have perception checks in Traveler, although we probably
10.
should. That's true. Captain Black has a cybernetic arm, which is immune to the Cordie. So Weber, yeah, you look around and you actually don't find one in any of these, but there does seem to be over right about here. There does seem to be what looks to be an absolutely ancient metal box, sort of affixed to the wall somehow, and it has it has a symbol, a medical symbol on it, like maybe a first aid kit or something like that. But it looks like it hasn't been touched since this train was made.
Well, that's what I'm looking for. I will open it up and see what we got in there.
Okay, it's pretty basic. Band-Aids, a dried up bottle of Bactine, a pair of old scissors that are fairly rusty, some gauze that has seen better days, so gauze wraps and things like that. It does have a little bottle of alcohol that looks like about half gone, isopropyl, and a pair of surgical gloves, rubber gloves.
Right.
But they're not like surgical gloves. They're not like medical gloves. They're more like dishwashing gloves.
Yeah, I get it. But they might work in a pinch here.
They do go. They do go up to the elbow. So unlike Dr. Wagner's surgical gloves, which are wrist.
All right. So I will. How do you guys want to do this? I'm thinking, we have to probably. I don't really want Tobias to pass us that close, but I don't want to be trapped in this car between 3 zombies either. So before Les takes the situation out of our hands, I want you to put down Tobias and then Doyle and I go take down these 2 engineers, and then we burn the whole group of them, and drag them out of this car and burn the whole group of them. I don't want to be in here with them.
Better if I was the one handling the zombies.
Too, you with the sure, I just got these surgical gloves or these dishwashing gloves. I was going to help you, but I would much prefer you drag them. I don't want to touch them.
I also have my stun stick, so I can pretty much render him useless without too much fuss.
True. So maybe you stun Tobias when he comes to the door, and then we off him. Maybe push him off the train right there, kill him. I hate doing this, but but the risk is too great, and then we're going to take these 2 engineers off and do the same. We have to burn them before we leave them. And then I guess with this little bottle of alcohol, sterilize what we can, at least enough, and these gloves to start the train back up. And one of us will have to stay in here.
That's what Tobias's eyes look like.
Ugh.
This gray area around the side and the sclera.
It's like a seagull, but
All right. I will head back and summon Tobias to come into this room with me.
Okay.
I need to talk to you.
I
We
don't
have
think
a
it's a room.
situation.
I think it's just a table and a chair.
Yeah, it's just a table and a chair.
It's all open
So
cabin.
there's no walls between anything.
No, just tables. These sofas are sort of back to back. So there's like a little maybe raised area. It's maybe 4 feet off the ground. The backs are there. But yeah, no, otherwise the entire cabin, the entire train car is more or less open.
As I say, if
All
you
right, so
stun,
Weber and Coffin, you guys go forward. I gotta bring Tobias in.
okay. Good luck.
So I'll tell Tobias to come in the engine and tell him we got a situation. And then I close the door behind him.
Okay. What's up? All right. He sort of leaps across here. Well, what you got?
Like
Well, it
Tobias,
seems both the
Can you
engineers have
close
been
the door?
infected. Yeah, close the door. And tell them the engineers have been infected. We're going to be stopping the train. And for that, the next step after that is to make sure you're subdued. And then I hit him with the stun stick.
All right. Well, you do get a bonus on I think because he certainly wasn't expecting that. So you're just
Remember,
like
remember, he's
Yeah.
stronger than you, so you don't want to get into a pissing contest with him.
Right.
yeah, they are. I mean, yeah, these guys are. Remember, you're on a high gravity
I'm
planet.
being,
So
I'm
Yep.
being very cordial about it. I'm not calling him names or anything. I just said
No. I'm just saying that you don't want. Yeah, you don't want to get into a grappling with him because he's going to fold you in half.
all right, give us a. I have to get the stun thing.
What's my bonus? Like a bonus to hit or the bonus on damage?
A bonus on both, I think. I would think probably an extra +2 to hit.
Well, I would have to say that if spores are taking over and they get spines, that means that there's muscle deterioration as that shoots through the body. So I don't know if they're as strong as they would be normally.
Potentially, yeah. I see what you're saying, and that's legit.
As we're up here trying to get ourselves killed, I hear the Dukes of Hazzard narrator going, "It was about this time them boys, Mehmet Tam and Doctor, realized they could split the whole ship by themselves."
All right, 15. That's an easy hit. So do you have the? I'm just trying to get the. Looking for the equipment thing. I can never
I've
remember.
got it
what
open.
these are.
I'm not on that page yet. Hold on. I know. I think I do 1d6 just regular damage,
Yes.
and then 2d6 stun. But
That
there's like a
sounds
bonus, right?
right.
like the amount I'm over on the hit, I get that much extra on the stun or something. Let me find it.
I can't find the book. I didn't have it open. I'm unprepared.
had it
I hate
open,
when I'm
but
unprepared.
the table of contents isn't correct for where the stun stick. So I just have to scroll to it.
All right, hold on. Let's do this the proper way.
It's under close combat. Close and personal. There you go. Close and personal.
Central Supply Catalog. Here we go.
All
What
right,
page is
stun
it?
stick.
800 points of damage. Rounded up.
Yeah, it doesn't say that here, but I remember somebody saying something about that. Like there was some kind of a bonus.
Plus when they catch fire, like in the Green Mile.
Stun stick. So it does 2 dice of damage, and then the stun develops a debilitating shock. So essentially, you have to. All right, hold on. Let me fix this to get this. Figure out what stun does.
Stun
So it does
damage.
two dice of damage.
Okay, so I can roll 2d plus 2. That's the physical
Just-
damage.
That's physical, and then I believe it has to. Hold on, when it's done.
I think this stun is where I get the
It
bonus.
has to roll higher than that for a fortitude save, I think is how we did it before.
I think so too. Higher than the damage on a is it con or strength? I can't remember.
Con. Fortitude, con, same thing.
So of course I rolled badly on the damage. That's not
Yep.
cool.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so let me checking his SSM. He gets +3 on that roll. So it might not work as intended. Oh, almost, but he is not stunned. So he's sort of like he's zapped. So he takes 7 points of damage. Let me go ahead and do that. But he has a fair amount of hit points. And he is and he's thrown sort of backwards. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing? What?" And he starts coughing.
Coffin Doyle.
Uh-oh.
All right, so that's Captain Coffin. What are you and Weber doing? Well, actually, before we get to you guys, Mehmet, you're sort of you and Dr. Wagner are sort of seeing all this play out. It's actually kind of quiet. Nobody's making a ton of noise because a lot of people are sort of snoozing or that kind of stuff. Isaac's sleeping. These other guys, one's awake. He's reading a book or something like that. He's not thinking of anything of it. And if he's like, if Tobias wants to talk to these idiots when they go and check out the train, it's none of my business. So nobody else is really doing anything. What are you guys doing?
I'm keeping an eye on these 4 in this room here.
Okay, so you're gonna if anybody gets out of line, you're gonna do something awful to them. Okay. Dr. Wagner, what about you? You've told them so basically the thing is you saw Weber come out. Weber got up, he goes into the thing. He comes back out, and Captain Black and Coffin are sort of ambling over there. He tells them something, and they all go to the thing. Then Tobias gets up and is like, "Why is everybody going to the engine room?" So I'll go too. And you can't really see what's going on. The train is kind of moving on, and it's somewhat dim in there. So you're pretty sure that nobody noticed that Captain Black just zapped this guy.
I closed the door.
You close the door, yeah, so that you can't really see in there. So you're not sure. Everybody's over there now, and you're not sure what's going on.
Well, so everyone else on the train is sleeping, pretty much.
Yeah, Isaac's sleeping. The guy behind him is sort of dozing. You know how it is when you get on a train. It's kind of ruckety, that kind of thing. You kind of get lulled into sleep. This guy over here is reading some sort of book. Gives off every impression of being some sort of devotional or religious text because you can see him sort of making gestures that seem religious in nature. And this other person over here, he seems to be asleep as well. I think it's a he. Hold on a second. Oh no, that's a woman. So she's asleep.
Seem like involuntary twitches.
Give me a medical check.
Okay, pull your pants down.
give me the medicine. I'm ready.
12.
12. It looks like when they do move, it does seem to be in response to jostling of the train carriage as opposed to involuntary movements. Nobody seems to be moving involuntarily or giving off any indication or twitches. But you don't know for sure. I mean, this could languish. It could manifest itself in different ways.
Since I'm still in all my protective gear, I'm going to go engage him in conversation.
Which the guy who's awake?
Yeah, who's reading and twitching.
Okay. All right. So you go over there and you just like, "Hey, bud."
Which one is it?
That guy right there.
Okay, yeah. And you go, "Hey, what you reading?"
You've surely I've never had an awful order ask me about our religion. This is one of our primary books, and he shows you the title. And he sort of waxes a bit rhapsodic. He's obviously very devout. He talks, he's like, "This is the Paths of the Elders. This is one of our supplementary tomes." And he pulls another thing. He's like, "What it does is it explains how one goes about finding their path." He seems to be fine. He's not slurring his words as he's talking. You don't see any twitches. His sclera don't seem at all gray. As far as you can tell from a cursory observational standpoint, he doesn't have it. Now, if you want him to consent to a physical examination, that's another roll. Maybe two, maybe a couple of rolls. He's got a slingshot out. He's like, "I'm ready."
If he looks okay, I'll just.
He looks fine. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be exhibiting any of the signs.
All right. Well, I'm gonna nod politely and tell him I'm going to mosey over to the club car for a gin and tonic. And then
if it's a wee dram you're interested, and he sort of rustles around in a little rucksack that he has on the seat next to him, and he pulls out what looks to be a pretty significant flask. He's I brought a little bit of whiskey from home. I didn't know how long we were going to be in town, and I've been to the tavern in the town we're going to, and it's not bad, but it's a bit rustic, and they sometimes they don't have the the sort of thing I like. So always bring a little windage with me. You're welcome to share a sip if you like.
why?
He sort of offers you the flask, the standard pint flask.
Well, sir, if you don't mind pouring it in a glass for me, I've got a mask on and a visor, and it's.
I forgot you offers are a bit aristocratic for us peasant folk.
Oh no, I'd like to try it, but I don't want to lift my mask up and breathe on you. You don't know where I've been, do you?
Oh, I've heard tales though.
I'll
But
bet
it's
you
fine.
have,
And he
I'll
sort
bet
of
you have.
rummages around. He's like, oh, he's looking. He finds a metal tumbler, which is sort of sitting on one of these tables. He's like, here you go, and he pulls out a rag and sort of wipes it out. That's a little worse for wear, but it'll hold whiskey.
All right.
And he pours probably. And he's a generous pour. He pours like probably 3 fingers of whiskey in this metal tumbler
I do
for
a
you to drink.
slight turn away from him and pull up my mask and take a little sip and go, just like Mama used to.
It's actually quite good.
Ah, very good.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. He takes a long slug out of the thing. He's like, oh, I knew this trip was going to be a doozy, so I made sure to bring an extra.
I have a feeling it's very flammable.
Andrew, you just took
Proof-wise, yeah,
sip
could
out
be.
of a potential plague victim's flask.
Not with that alcohol content.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's probably clocking at 105, 108. It's not E.H. Taylor. It's not the Colonel, but it's a little beefier than wild turkey, regular old wild turkey.
All right, I like it. I like it a lot.
Andrew and I are both bourbon heads. So I was speaking a language that I knew Andrew would understand.
I understand you for once less. I really do.
All right, so Andrew, you're talking up the guy. Mehmet, you're just keeping an eye on everybody. Black has just attacked their host. Weber and Coffin. So Coffin, now that you're up with Weber's next to he's like looking at the bulkhead. You just saw him sort of pop open a first aid kit. There's a bunch of like garbage in there, and he's sort of sorting through it, looking for stuff. You see him sort of trying on these big yellow dishwashing gloves, and you're like, is he gonna wash some dishes? But then you look over and you see this guy. This guy is just still, his head's just like, he looks collapsed in his chair. This other guy seems to be desperately trying to do some sort of, he's sort of slapping at this point the controls. He doesn't really, but he's not really accomplishing anything, right? So it's moving. The train's still moving. He hasn't shut it down, but he's sort of like he's all over the place.
Yeah, well, we both have stun sticks, don't we?
I don't know. Coffin, do you have a stun stick?
Sidearm.
All right.
I am heavily armed with guns, but all my guns are back on the GNT. I have my sidearm, and that's it. I didn't come loaded, so.
Didn't know you were going to be in a zombie apocalypse, did you?
I had no idea. So here I am, and I feel pretty nervous because I feel like we don't really have a solid plan to deal with the 2 infected and no doubt highly contagious people driving this train.
You can shoot out the windscreen.
A fun fact, and Don can confirm this, is that I, as you guys know, I am a zombie movie aficionado. I love zombies, and I try to have at least one zombie adventure in all of my campaigns. So you remember 13C? There was the whole city where everybody, it was like I literally for that one I made like, what was it? about 150 little zombie
Little
zombie
zombie
tokens
minis, yep.
that I brought out for that whole thing. And you know, every round I put like 25 or 30 more on the thing, and they're like, "Oh shit!" But I usually find myself unable to resist the opportunity to put a zombie adventure in all of my campaigns. So this one is yours.
God bless you.
All right, so Coffin makes a good point. So Coffin's talking to you, and he's like, look, we don't have any protective gear. We're in an enclosed space with these guys. There's no oxygen masks. You know, if I shoot them, blood's gonna get all over the place. I don't have a stun stick. I can't stun them. You can hear some sort of brouhaha in the anteroom with Captain Black and Tobias, so that's probably going well. I don't know. Coffin makes a couple of good points here.
I say, what do you think, Coffin? What's your professional opinion on that windscreen?
Um,
Empty a clip into it and see if it takes it out and throw them through that.
I am totally willing and glad, happy, delighted to empty my magazine at the windscreen. You know what? Sure.
Well, you know, sometimes they have weed killer and other herbicides on trains because the tracks get overgrown. So if you just spray them with a little herbicide.
Pour a little vinegar on them.
Quick to the ivermectin stores.
Do we have to take it as a suppository?
Yes, but Wagner already has a slingshot, so you guys will be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ivermectin on the rail.
All right. Well, I will stand right next to Doyle, I guess, and I will. We're gonna go full Pulp Fiction here to raise our pistols and put them through the windscreen.
I'm gonna shoot the windscreen.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot 3 through the windscreen because how many are in our clip? Just real quick. What would you say are these? Both of your body pistols. We say like an 8 or 10 clip.
Yeah, I believe there are 10. I'd have to check. I believe it's a 10-round clip. Now you guys have shot some, and there's no place to. You have shot some of those bullets, and there's no place to buy more. So it depends on how much you brought. Just remember, you're heading to a town that might be problematic.
Yeah, I mean, we probably, you know, Coffin Doyle is he's just covered in bandoleros. You know, it's like badges. Like, we don't need no sticky badges.
I brought 1,000 rounds for my body pistol in a little backpack. You know, when I go to the range, I take maybe 200, 300 rounds. My bag weighs a ton.
Yeah.
Ammo is heavy.
Yeah.
He's walking around.
It's almost like it's lead.
Yeah.
Wrapped in brass, you know, that kind of thing. It's
brass.
Like Doyle's walking around like Jesse Ventura in Predator with this giant backpack full of bullets, you know. Ain't got time to bleed.
All right, so you two are gonna put a round through the windscreen to see if it shatters.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right, give me a 2-hit roll with all your normal bonuses. And actually give me +1 because you guys give it an extra +1 because you guys are aiming at a static object. You're aiming at an object rather than a person.
Huge object. What is my what is the 2-hit for here? The dex again, or what? I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm buying that.
It's just that so body pistol +3. Okay.
Yep. A 10. All right. Pow. Doyle, what about you?
Coming up, I have gun combat +3, so I roll 2d6 +3.
+4 in this case. It's since the windscreen isn't moving around.
Mine would have been +4 as well. I'm sorry. So
11 to hit.
11,
okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll damage too. Is it 4D for there you go. Oh, you put one right through the windscreen. Go ahead and roll your damage rolls. So I think for a body pistol, is it 3D or 4D? I can't remember.
I'll tell you in a second here. Hold on.
If only I was a prepared DM and had all this memorized.
3d6.
3d6. Okay.
It as a bonus. Okay.
10 rounds per magazine. I got 2 magazines.
That's I want you to roll my number.
I don't roll. I only roll healing, not damage. But this 18
brutal.
points total is more than enough. Those 2 bullets go flying through there. The guy, the drunk guy, his head kind of like turns around to look at you after these reports go off because they make noise, and the windscreen shatters. So all of a sudden you have, well, I guess it's not a lot of wind. You're only going like 4.5 miles an hour. But yeah, suddenly you're open to the air. You can hear there's a lot of noise suddenly because the engine noise outside is now inside. It's not so much engine noise as it is, the noise of the bearings, because it's an electrical engine. So it doesn't, there's no engine noise, but there's the sound of the train moving across the tracks and stuff like that. So it gets quite a bit louder in here. Part of the glass falls in, lands all over this area here. This guy does not seem to notice it. Some of it flows outside. There's pieces in the edge of that kind of stuff and everything. And this guy turns around and he looks at Coffin and he says, "Is that all gone? Can I hold it?"
I'm gonna point him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna point him to. I'll get a little closer and I'll point him like, look out the window. Kind of put old Yeller down.
Look at what is it? Look at the stars, or look at the flowers.
Look at the flowers.
He's like, what flowers? So he's beginning. This guy hasn't moved. This guy is now starting to get up. He's got his hand out. And he's like, I've never seen a gun before. And he's, and you can see he's like sort of twitching a little bit.
Oh, all right.
What do you want to do, Coffin?
If he comes toward us, I'm gonna drill him.
He's up out of the chair and he's sort of moving sort of half-assedly
Right.
towards you guys.
I say-
He's not moving very fast. He's sort of staggering around.
Better.
He doesn't have a ton of control. He exhibits every indication that he is an incredibly drunk person. That's like somebody who may or may not have to go get their stomach pumped later.
Can I see a sclera?
Maybe.
I'm gonna roll my before Coffin Doyle kills him. Just make sure he's not actually drunk.
Whoa, don't you? What are you doing there?
Right.
Sit down.
I rolled a 13 for intelligence.
His sclera looked pretty wrecked.
Okay. Proceed, Mr. Doyle.
All right. I don't know. You shut out
Wait,
my windscreen. And he sort of turns back around and he's sort of pointing at the empty hole where the thing would be. Captain Black, you heard this thing shatter. You heard a couple of gunshots, and then the sound of broken glass. You're not sure in there. Tobias actually is like looking around. He's like, what the fuck is going on this thing? Are you guys commandeering the thing? Why did you stick me with that cattle prod? Why is your arm a cattle prod? Wagner, as you're talking with these guys, you guys hear the gunshots in the back.
I was going to say, that's what I wanted to ask if we hear it.
They're waking up. Yeah, you hear it. Gunshots. You don't hear the breaking glass, but you definitely hear 2 gunshots in quick succession. And everybody is now awake. This guy's like, "Oh, Doc, did you hear that? It sounded like, what was that? It must be maybe there's something wrong with the engine. I bet." He puts his book down. He's like, I better go check it out.
Are you good with mechanical issues?
Oh yeah, I'm here to help if I can.
I know somebody who's got a pool and a lot of money to spend.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to take off-world help if I can get it.
Can I see the gentleman's sclera?
Oh yeah, you can see it too. It's very gray. He's infected.
And there's no cure,
Once it's gotten to this point, no.
and he will certainly die.
Worse, yeah, it'll kill him, and then it'll take over his nervous system and start walking him around. Yeah.
Say, "Sir, I am sorry."
So he's turned it back around. He's still standing. You said, "Hey, sit down, idiot." And he's like, "All right." And but then he's looking. He's like, "My windshield is gone." And then Those of you in the back hear you heard
Don't shoot. I hit him
two
with the
gunshots in
sunset.
quick succession, and then now you hear a third gunshot.
Okay, that's
You,
gonna be
from where you're standing?
yes, sir.
Okay, go for it.
I don't want to get close. I hate to kill a guy in cold blood. It's yeah. All right, all right. Here we go. 2d6 plus 4 or 3.
This is a mercy. check.
Plus, well, he's moving, so is this plus 3 in this case?
This is no fun for any of
Well,
us.
that hit him. Go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll your 3d6. 10 points. All right. So you see something happen. The bullet. Were you aiming at his head?
Yes.
Okay, you missed his head. But the whoops. Why did that do that? Hold on a second. You missed his head. There we go. But the bullet hit him sort of high in the shoulder, sort of in the. He's facing away from you, so it hit him sort of in the sort of the trapezius muscle right here. He doesn't react as. I mean, he doesn't sort of like throw himself out of the way. He
That's
seems to push forward. He kind of looks around and he's like, "Do you hear that?" And you can see the bullet hole is now leaking a sort of, well, it's blood, but it has a weird grayish tinge to it that's sort of covering his back. Now he's like, I heard something loud. Did you hear that? And he turns around back to you guys, and you can see blood, some blood coming out of his mouth. But he's like, oh, my back hurts. Something wrong. Something's wrong. I feel all unstrung. Yeah, you can shoot again.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and roll it.
I will do it too.
That's a hit. And Weber, you're going to shoot too?
Yep.
Go for it.
6 points.
6 points. All right.
Here's my hit. Here's my attack. And then,
That's your hit.
Yeah, and then damage. Did we say 3d6? 3d6, right?
3d6.
4 points.
4
Jesus,
points.
look at these- oh my
Well, so he's standing there, and now he's got like 3 bullet holes in him. He's still standing. Now he's staggered. He's still up. He's still on his feet, but you can see like these were 2 abdomen shots that went in. You missed his head again. But in this case, he's looking down and he's like, he's looking up at you guys like, what's this? And you can see sort of like he staggers a little bit, and you can see he takes one finger and sort of sticks it in to the wound and pulls it out. He's like, what the fuck is this? And he's sort of like wobbling around, and he's like, did you shoot with your gun? And he begins sort of like wandering up here. This guy hasn't budged. Let's stop that for a second. Jet, you hear all these gunshots. We're up to 5 gunshots now. Tobias is like, what the fuck, dude? And he's gonna make you will get an attack. But we should roll initiative for everybody now. Let's go ahead and do that. I think it's time, don't you? I do.
Yeah.
So we add our dex to the initiative on this one?
You add your dex bonus to it.
So I don't have a dex bonus, so this is straight roll. Okay. 7 for old Weber Jix.
Oh my God.
A lot of 7s. Cam apparently has got
A 0.
caravan guard like skills.
2d6 minus 4.
Oh, mine is a 4? I thought it was plus 4.
Minus 4. I'm pretty good at 0.
Why are you minus 4?
9. Yes.
I am not dexterous.
If I open
Oh,
up
I
your
didn't highlight.
if I open up your coat, Tam, am I gonna find like 7 aliens standing on top of each other, like in a trench coat? And like, no wonder you're not dexterous. Ugh.
I'm intelligent. Not dexterous.
Well, we can tell you're intelligent because you haven't trapped yourself in a room with a bunch of zombies.
That's right. It's okay. I'm going to clear that room out real quick with a grenade soon.
Yeah. hear a dog drinking, I think. The next thing we need
Yeah.
to do is figure out how far we are from this town, because maybe we walk the rest of the way.
You're about 4 hours into this thing, so 2 hours at 20 miles an hour.
That's a long way still.
It's a haul. Okay, hold on. All right, everybody in the back thing will go on Pious Whiskey Guy's turn. All the other people. Is anybody not on the thing? Dan, you said, what did you roll?
9.
9.
9. Oh wait, 9.
9.
I got a 7.
Okay, Dr. Wagner got a 7. Where
I
is
got a rock.
7. Gentleman 7. Not falling behind, not running ahead. Tam, what'd you roll?
Tam rolled a 0
A
initiative.
That's a legit initiative roll.
That is my legit initiative roll. It was a 1 plus a 3 minus 4.
Nice. Okay. Coffin and is Weber on here? No. Coffin and Weber, what'd you guys roll?
I
5.
rolled a 7. 7 for me.
Coffin, what'd you get?
5.
5. Okay. And a
love
7 for
it.
Weber.
This dwarf has got the best dexterity. The zombie dwarf.
Yeah, he's got his bonus of 0.
After the first round, we react just as fast. So
All right, here we are. Top of the order is Tobias. So he is hearing gunshots. He's just been attacked by Captain Black. He's not sure what's going on. He's confused. He's injured. And yet he's going to try. He doesn't have any weapons. So he's going to try and punch Captain Black as hard as he can. And he's actually a pretty good puncher.
Sure he is.
Ooh, and he connects.
Uh-oh. Damn it.
So I remember telling you guys that these guys, due to their gravity, are quite adept. They're very
Mhm.
strong. So a punch, which would normally do 2d6 non-lethal, or 1d6 non-lethal, does 2d6 non-lethal. So you he catches you in the jaw and you're seeing stars. 11 points of damage, and he's just like, boom. And you can see him. He looks like the next thing he wants to do is he's going to try and grab you. Which might not be great if indeed he is infected.
Now, how much of my armor applies to that, though, first?
If you're wearing armor, then it applies.
My body armor of 3, and then I've got another armor, 3 armor on my arm.
Probably just the body armor. I don't know that you would have been able to get your arms being used to attack, so it wouldn't necessarily be defending you. So just the body armor one. So they take 3 off of that. So I guess a total of 8 points of damage.
Okay.
All right. And he's moving forward. He's like, "What's going on? What are you doing to me?" And he's going after you. It's your turn. Captain
Tell him
Black.
you've been infected, and I'm trying to get stun you.
What the hell are you talking about? I'm not infected.
does every infected person.
It's every infected person everywhere.
Oh man, that's a hit.
Hit him
Big
with the
hit.
old stun stick.
The old stunner.
Down. Good girl.
9 points of regular damage.
Okay.
And then
Ooh, all right.
Slowly
So he
down.
takes 9 points of damage,
Slowly
and he
down.
did not make his stun save. He rolled a 7.
Down.
So the stun stick, you catch him like right in the neck, his unprotected neck, and you give him like a little right in there. He's sideways, and then you see his eyes just sort of his gray eyes sort of roll up in his head, and he collapses down onto the ground in front of you. He's still alive. He's still breathing, but he's unconscious.
Okay.
All right, Weber. You guys have now put 3 bullets in this guy. He's sort of just like looking at you guys. He's like looking at you and looking at the bullet holes. And he's like, "Is that what guns do?" That kind of thing. He's not making any sense at this point. Between the bullet holes and the infection taking over his nervous system, he's not.
I'm
Corpus
trying
Mantis.
to put him out of his misery. So here he goes.
All right, that's a hit.
And 3d6. That's right.
6 points. Finally, that last bullet ends up kicking him in the head, where he is thrown backward against his chair and slumps to the ground, dead. Moments later.
I'm just imagining that Doyle and I are just screaming at him. I'm sorry. Already.
I
This
feel
is for your
horrible.
okay.
I feel really
A
bad
few
about this.
moments later, about 10 seconds later, you hear this sort of like, and you can see out of the holes that you guys have shot into him, in his mouth, his ears, that kind of thing, you see this gray powder just kind of go and fall to
Right
the ground.
around him. Ugh.
Yeah, in an area around him. This guy still hasn't moved. He's still laying back in his thing. He's just laying there. He must be alive because you don't see any of the gray powder, but he hasn't moved and he didn't react to the gunshots. All right, that is Weber. Dr. Wagner, everybody, your friend, pious whiskey guy, is now up on his feet and he's heading for the thing. He's like, did you hear that? There's something bad going on up there. What's going on? And he's up and making his way towards the thing. Mehmet, you can also see that everyone else is now standing up and they're getting into the hallway and joining him. Isaac is come to you, next to you, and basically say, what were those noises? So Isaac is like, those were gunshots, weren't they? I remember from the farm. That's what they sounded like. Who's shooting off guns in the train?
Look, folks, I can't say for sure because I'm not up there, but I have a suspicion that some people on this train are probably infected. And my friends are probably trying to keep you all safe.
They see their eyes wide there. Oh no, they've got the Cordie and they're looking around, sort of at the stuff. You're telling me they've got the Cordie on the train? You didn't see it before? What? And they're kind of like, we gotta get off this train. And you see pious whiskey guy actually, well, he'll move on his turn. So but everybody else looks frightened when you say that. They're like, oh no, Cordie's on the train.
Well, we don't know that. I'm guessing that they went up to check and discovered some infected people. If you want, I'm wearing protective gear. I can go up and check, but I beseech you not to get panicked. Let me find out what's going on. There's only so much space up there, and I will give you all an examination if you like, as long as we get to the vaccine as soon as we can. Anyone on this train who's not already obviously infected will be fine. Give me a moment to check. And I go up to the club car and go, what's going on? The natives are getting restless.
All right. So first thing I want you to roll is hold on a second. I want you to give me a roll real quick.
Jelly?
A jelly roll. That's the roll I like. Hold on, I gotta look at the USS. This is pretty specific. So you're gonna try and convince these guys to do what you say. And frankly, it's a sensible course of action. If there's a medical problem, you let a medical guy handle it. So what I want you to do is roll me an. I want you to roll me. What's your delay in your UPC, the UPP? What's the last number? That's your social standing number.
Oh God, we're screwed.
All right, you could use. I'm going to let you use education or social standing, whichever one is better.
Education is a 13.
Okay, all right. So well, he's a doctor, right? So
Social standing is a 5.
Oh, that's because of the incident, I bet.
I'm high.
The incident. We're not going to talk about that.
All right. So 13, you say? That would be a
No. Sorry.
Your education.
13.
13. All right. So that's a plus. I can't do math. 5. Roll me a 2d6 plus 5.
Okay.
Basically, you're trying to convince. This is the roll to see if you convince these guys that the course of action which you have just described is what they should do. Then you're like, sit down. I'm the doctor. I'll take care of it.
Well, shouldn't I do a medical check then?
No, because that would be specific to
You're trying to use your gravitas, not your medical skill.
Right.
So in this case, you're like, I'm a doctor. I've got this. 15. They're like, okay, you're right. You're a doctor. You should go check. What do you want us to do?
Just wait here. I want to see what's going on before I get everyone worked up. If it's what I think it is, I'm going to come back and I'm going to examine each of you. Like I said, we can make, if we get to the vaccine in the next few hours, we'll all be fine. But let me make sure it's what I think it is. And then I turn to Captain
Okay.
Black and go, okay, what's going on?
All right, you've convinced them. A 15. They're like, all right, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, you tell us what's happened. Yeah. And so now Captain Black, you see him. He's got his stun stick out. He's standing over the body of what looks to be the prone body of Tobias, and he's got a really solid bruise on his jaw.
Some vaccine and
it's
a
what you
Band-Aid
think
for
it is,
that,
Dawn.
Captain.
It's what you think it is.
Basically,
Okay.
imagine the situation that preceded what you're
And
looking at
please
now.
know that the plan was to be subtle and not make a lot of noise. I don't know what those two up at the front are doing right now.
All right. So they give me the lowdown. I go back and go to Pious Whiskey guy and go, you got another shot of that bourbon, that whiskey, buddy. So yeah.
I do, doctor, but maybe you should wait until after the examination. Yeah.
So yeah, the people driving the train.
I need
were,
you to be spot on with that slingshot, Boyle.
Yeah, it's two fingers, right?
It's what I thought. There were some mercy killings to keep
Oh, they're
us safe.
Dead.
So
They're killed. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible news. And they're upset, but they're like, he does pour you some more whiskey, and he's like, well, take a look at us. We have to. And the woman is like, well, I want to know if I got it. Doctor, me first. That kind of thing.
I'll examine her.
So I guess
Hand me the slingshot, doctor. I'm ready.
I'll examine them all.
Okay, so you're going to begin doing preliminary examinations. You can do one every 2 rounds.
Okay.
Right. So that's essentially a 12-second physical examination.
Wow.
Very thorough.
Yeah, super thorough. You can take more time if you want, but I don't know if you want to take more time because examining all 3 will keep you out of. Yeah, well,
they've been on the train a while and they don't have showers or baths in the trains.
You're basically just going up and say ah, and
Say
you're looking
ah,
for the things.
slapping them once. All right. Reaching down. Okay, cough for me, and that's it. All right, so you're gonna start examining them. Pious Whiskey guy, well, he's not gonna do anything. They all kind of come up and they're like, please examine us, take a look at us, we've got to know if it's there. So we come to Coffin Doyle. All right, so this guy is dead. He's on the ground with several bullet holes in him, and he's surrounded by a cloud of this powder. Now, it's not in the air anymore. It's fallen to the ground. And one of the things that Dr. Wagner has told you before is that the cordyceps fungus spore is quite heavy, so it doesn't stay airborne forever. In fact, it falls back to the ground pretty quickly. And remember, you're on a planet that has essentially double gravity, so it's exactly right. So it's you don't see any in the air, but there's a little bit of wind coming through the broken windscreen, so you're worried that it might stir it up.
Maybe Weber. Maybe we should back up a bit. You think, Weber?
He's been infected.
Yeah.
Weber,
I
are you
don't
there?
feel good.
I feel very good. My scleras are itching.
I would say I'm looking now. I'm looking at this other zombie real quick.
The other guy in the other seat. Yeah, he has not moved. He's just basically sitting there, and he hasn't moved since you came. Well, since you came in here and you asked, and the other infected train guy got up, went over to him and grabbed his shoulder and was like, "Hey, are you all right, Rob?" And at that point, the guy's just his head like fell back on his thing, and he has not moved since.
We can fall back, but sooner or later we have to take control of the train control. So I'll fall back with you, but let's go see how Captain Black is made out with Tobias.
Phrasing.
Crazy.
When your turn comes around, it is your turn. If you want to shoot that guy, well, you could step right up to him and put the muzzle of your pistol right against his head.
No.
If you want to do that, he's not moving.
I'm gonna kneel down take careful aim,
Okay.
and I'm gonna go for a. I mean, I'll try for a headshot. I don't want to make this sloppy, and I feel horrible. This is definitely not my kind of gig, but I realize that these two guys are doomed to a horrible death, and shooting them is a mercy. So I'm gonna aim at the other zombie guy here.
Okay.
And 2d6 plus 3.
Yep.
Is he
You get one for
still?
extra aim.
No, he wouldn't get any for extra aim because the bulk of this body is in the chair. So unless
Right.
you're not, and you're trying to shoot the head, right? So which is a
Yeah.
more difficult shot.
Right.
So it'll be even up. If you hit him, you'll hit his head.
Nine.
That's a hit. So yeah, you hit him in the back of the head. The head goes flying forward, and he stays in the chair, but now his head is like sort of bent over. And then again, about 10 seconds later, you hear this, and you could see spores coming out of the hole in the back of his head as they sort of trying again. It comes around. Now he's closer to the windscreen, so you can see the spores are sort of getting stirred up in the air. They're not falling as quickly as the other ones because they keep getting stirred up by the wind coming through the broken windscreen.
It's going 5 miles an hour. How stirred up are they going to
Well,
be?
it's not. I mean, it's not. They're not blown back. It's taking longer for them to fall to the floor.
Les is trying to force us out of his car, so we have to take our chances jumping from car to car again and see if we get pulled into the train. It's 4 miles an hour. You only get a 1% chance.
4 miles an hour, you could probably jump off the train. I don't know. Could you jump off a car moving?
Oh,
yeah.
Moving 4 miles an hour and survive? Yeah, I guess
4 mile
probably.
per hour
Oh, yeah.
is a fast walk.
At 22, I jumped off a moving train that was going at least 20 miles an hour. And
Yeah,
Not
trolley
feeling
cars
good
are
at
going
all.
4 miles an hour.
yeah,
All right. So,
Sometime?
all right. So that's you coughing. You shoot that guy, and then you retreat and talk to Weber. Correct?
Yes. Let's scram. Let's go
go where?
back. I don't want to be near the spores. And I'm going to assume this whole car is compromised.
Doyle sounds panicky. I checked the Scalera.
Very gray indeed. No, he seems fine.
All right.
Hold on.
Just a little panic.
Sorry, I had to move him. I couldn't get at the killer thing. The thing.
He's got Nikes on. Look out.
How far are we from our the place where the medicine is?
At
About
least-
40 miles.
yeah.
40 miles. Shit. All right.
Yeah, you're about 4 hours into a 6-hour trip. Now it's a 6-hour trip moving at 20 miles an hour. Now you're moving about 4 miles an hour. So you're about 40 miles away. So at this speed, if you just let the train keep going, it would take you about 10 more hours to get there.
Right, we're gonna have to speed it up. But they're sitting at the controls of the car. We made a mess of it up there, so one of us is gonna have to go fix it. Probably me, I guess.
All right, infected train guy is not making any moves. So Mehmet, bottom of the order, first of the next round. It's Mehmet Tan. All right, so Isaac is standing next to you, and he's like, it sounds like they're killing people. Are they killing our friends?
Well, I think the doctor was
Cordie?
right.
Or
I
are you a
think the
bunch
doctor-
of murderous psychos?
I think the doctor was right. They may have found somebody who was infected and they're addressing the issue. The doctor will, check us all out, make sure that we're not infected, and we'll move on then. I'm also going to run a education thing to just kind of convince them to stay calm.
All right, so you're gonna move closer, or
I'll just talk to Isaac and carry my voice. I'll talk to Isaac, slowly, but then I'll enunciate when I say, the doctor was right. We just need to stay calm and let him check us out.
all right? All right, if you think that's best, if they're in the engine room though, that's going to be a big problem for us. I think. How are we going to? Well, I was going to steer the train, but that doesn't make any
Well,
sense, doesn't it?
once we take them down, someone else can go in there and increase the speed of the train again.
Okay.
It's just a dial.
That's true. It's just a dial. I mean, there's no steering wheel or anything. So, it's just how it goes. All right.
I made
Tobias
the
isn't
eight.
you made the 8. Yeah. No, he believes you. He's like, okay, do you think you convinced the doctor to have a look at Miss Clara as well? Make
Yes.
sure I'm on the up and up. All right.
Yes.
I'm gonna go talk to him then. And he's kind of like meanders up here to sort of get in line. Tobias is unconscious. So I'm gonna do a quick try to recover. Yeah, he's still unconscious. And it is Captain Black's turn. So if you want to coup de grace him, now would be the time. You
What
could
does
just
this train run on?
it's
Rails.
huge batteries, yeah, that are powered, yeah, rails. Duh. It's a battery driven train. It's electrical.
Okay. Then I coup de grace.
Oh, you ace him. Oh wow, I was kidding.
Dude,
How do you coup de
I
grace
once
him?
said to kill one of my own soldiers because of a serious infection in his wound. I'm not gonna pansy about you bastards.
Okay.
And then using only my mechanical arm, I drag him up towards the other infected guys.
Hot-blooded.
All right, so you open that door then? All right.
What door?
This door here. That was closed,
Well,
remember?
I thought that door was. I closed the one behind us.
No, I thought you meant you closed this door.
No, then we weren't here. We were inside. I made sure that we went in the door and I closed it behind us before I touched it. So
Oh,
then we must be
the
on
back
other
door.
side. Yeah.
All right, so you would not have been like, what are those guys doing? Because you would have been seeing them throwing bullets around.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right, so you grab this guy. Weber and Coffin, give me a quick intelligence check, both of you. Okay, you both.
I got boxcars less. I know everything. I see
You
everything.
know everything. So you look over and you guys are both moving towards Captain Black. When you see him reach down and essentially, how do you kill Tobias? You just bash his skull in?
Yeah, I would just hold the stun stick against his skull till he's dead.
Okay. So you see him reach down and sort of like fry Tobias's head. And then he reaches down with his cybernetic arm, which goes to the shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay. And he grabs Tobias by the scruff of his shirt or something and begins dragging him towards you guys. You guys immediately realize that in about 2 seconds, Tobias is going to explode with spores.
Oh shit. All right.
And Black has him in his hand. Do you say anything?
Yes,
Run.
Black, drop him and run. And I
Drop and run.
trucking this way if I can.
All right, so you guys begin moving back into the car. Black, you see these guys, they're walking towards you, guns in hand.
Drop and
They
run.
yell, "Whoa, drop him and run!" You can see them watching you as you fry them. You pick them up by the shoulder and you've been dragging them into the car and they're like, "Drop him!"
Okay, I drop him.
All right. The
Run.
moment he hits the ground,
Oh shit.
I need a dexterity check from you as the spores erupt from his head,
Oh shit.
mostly from the various orifices in his head.
Woo.
14. All right.
That
So
might have
you
been a better
jump
roll
back.
than
You
the
actually
game
jump into this other room as you jump away from him, and the spores are like and sort of fall to the ground next to him.
Great. We got a crosswind of fucking spores now. All right.
All right. So that's Captain Black. Weber, what do? You've just seen Captain Black drop him. This door is shut.
What's
So
the cleanest? Okay, what's the cleanest looking? What's the cleanest looking set of sheets and blankets do I see?
probably from one of the rooms on the northern side. Both of those two rooms, the sort of reddish gray and the blue. Well, actually, all three of those don't look like they've been used in a while.
I'm gonna take the one that's closest to me. If it doesn't look like it's been used, give it, not shake it, but pull it off there.
Okay.
I'm going to suggest Coffin does the other thing and cover Tobias's body with it. I'm going to go cover Train Guy with the sheets and blankets I find from the two that don't look used. and go cover them up. We gotta get this train under control.
All right, so you're basically taking the blankets off the beds and covering the dead guys with these to try and keep the spores from getting loose.
The second thing but before I go any further, I'm taking a little bit of alcohol we found earlier, splashing it into a rat. I don't know if I'm gonna knock myself out. Let me think about this. I don't want to roofie myself. I will put a rag across my mouth. I was thinking I was pour alcohol on it, but that may not be the right thing to do. So I'll just cover myself with alcohol. And
Okay. Do you use the whole bottle?
no,
It's like a half a bottle is left in there.
yeah, I'm gonna save some. It might be a fire starter we need later.
Okay. Yeah, it's your guess is it's like isopropyl alcohol, and there's about a half a bottle in there.
So I want to cover the one that
What?
the one that's on the floor first, and then the one that Doyle shot second. Do you like
Okay.
the blanket, or are you gonna put it on top of him?
I'll put it on there. All
So
right.
Betsy's playing Mike's D&D game,
Oh, D team.
D team, and she just texted me. She says, Jennifer just told me, Jennifer just told my character that she believes in her. I'm one step closer to wooing her because I was never successful at it, but my daughter might be.
So it's that kind of. So D team is that kind of game, is it? All right. That's great.
The
It was never successful, but perhaps my daughter will succeed where I failed so many times.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
Once,
skills.
actually.
I don't think any of them are driving trains. So I'm going to have to poll Captain Black and Doyle here to see who might actually be able to operate this friggin' train.
Okay.
Engineering
Now,
skill.
now, Matt, your comment was not about D team. It was about this game, right?
Yes. I have no comment on D team at this time.
All right. So Weber, you're over there, and you grab a couple of blankets real quick, and you go over there and you throw them over the top of the corpses.
Right. And I encourage Doyle to do the same for Tobias's body.
Cool. So you say, hey, Doyle, throw one over the guy that the boss killed, kind of thing.
Okay.
One that
Dr. Wagner, give me a medicine check.
Okie dokie.
If you rolled boxcars, you make them worse. 12. Yeah, the first guy. You were looking at the woman first? She sort of stepped in, and they were all like,
the pious whiskey guy.
you were looking at Pious Whiskey 5 first. He seems, yeah, you're going to double check next round, but he seems fine. You don't see any evidence of sclera, color change, or any polyps in his cavities.
You're in good shape.
We should have changed the wording of that. I'm not going to say cavities again. I'm sorry.
That whiskey must do something to keep the fungus at bay.
All right. Coffin. Weber grabbed a blanket or grabbed some blankets. He's like, grab another one of those blankets and put it over.
I got 2 per round.
No, it takes you can do
it takes me 2 rounds.
2 rounds per person to be thorough.
Oh.
Yeah, you really do need 12 seconds to give somebody a thorough examination.
I'm very thorough.
All right, Coffin, what do? You Weber's like, hey, Coffin, grab a blanket and throw it over the top of the dead guy in the hallway that we have to pass many times before we get off of this train.
Still doing rounds.
Grab
There's no
a
combat
clean
going on.
looking blanket.
Oh, that's a good point. We're sort of out of combat, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, the Doc and Tam can start fighting the other passengers.
No, it's okay. We can drop out of initiative here. So yeah. So do you put that? Oh, you cover the remaining body. Okay.
Captain, I feel comfortable putting these gloves on and going to take over the train.
So I'm going to tell everyone, if you have handkerchief or spare short or something, I suggest you cover your face.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing already.
Yeah. So, Dr. Wagner, give me 3 more checks, medical checks.
Dr. Wagner, medicine man.
Dr. Wagner, medicine man.
Check.
Oh, yep. Pious whiskey guy is clear. The woman with the cigarette is clear.
You should quit smoking, ma'am.
What about
I
Tobias?
can't. They've got their hooks in me.
All right, you're good.
All right.
Another med check.
Yep.
Come on.
Okay. Good. The other guy, not Isaac, seems fine. No polyps, no issues.
You
You
look
check
good.
check Isaac real quick.
I thought I did already.
No, he was the last one.
Okay. No, I didn't. I check him on the mystery machine.
Yes, you did. He seemed
check him
fine
again.
then, but that was
All right, I'll check him again.
several hours. That was like 4.5 hours ago. Yeah, he still seems fine.
All right, so everybody looks good. Make sure you cover your mouth and nose with a handkerchief or a shirt or
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna cover
like your
up to
Uncle
here.
Les is doing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Don't let your nose hang out. Don't use it as a chin bra.
a chin bra. All right, so all those. So Wagner's doing that, and Tam, are you helping him out, or what are you doing? Or just talking to Isaac, that kind of thing, or making light of it. Can I bum a smoke? Just kidding. Do you come to this disease-ridden train often?
Is that the Tam who's just frozen?
Yeah, that was Tam. Did he freeze? Oh no, he's moving.
Oh, I'm good. Okay.
All right.
He was just daydreaming about all the things he wants to do to us when.
All right, the
when we're all
bodies
dead
are
from the-
covered with the blankets. You don't see any spores in the air. So you think that maybe you guys are okay, but in the meantime, you still are in the engine room. What do you guys do?
Well,
And we make the train go
yeah,
faster.
I encourage before I tried it, I would encourage the captain to come up here. I was going to hand him these gloves, or he could use a cybernetic arm. Point to where the controls are to speed the sucker up, and I can do whatever he needs me to do. But I don't think I should be the train driver. Otherwise, I want to get the fuck out of this car.
Well, you remember that. Well, so here's the thing: when you get to the town, you have to stop it. You have to stop the train too. So, does anybody have engineering skill?
Tam does.
You see what I did there? Train engineer, you get it? Get it?
Yep.
Ah, it's brilliant. I am the funniest guy I know. All right. Tam does. What about you, Captain Black?
Would engineering
Yeah, I
really apply to
do.
this case, or would this be more of a piloting?
I can't believe that you're asking me if engineering doesn't apply to running a train. All right, 11. Yeah. So, Jet, Captain Black, before you approach the guys who are sort of splayed all over the place, you just sort of observe, look at the control panel from where you are. It's very rudimentary, right? This is not a train that's designed to do a lot of different things. There's the dial that controls essentially the speed. You have some braking mechanisms, that will essentially lock up the wheels on the main thing. Your guess is that something moving quickly is going to take longer to come to a stop. So you probably have to decelerate a fair amount before you get into the town. But yeah, you have no doubt that you could drive the train.
Okay.
Now
Do
it
we
doesn't have a
anything to
windshield.
burn- Do we have anything to burn the bodies with?
Got a half a bottle of alcohol.
You used some of it, so a quarter bottle.
A quarter bottle of alcohol. Some old dirty bandages here, old dry bandages, and a bunch of bedding all around us.
Nighttime, and we have our sunglasses on.
Do you want to stop the train and burn them off the train? Take them off the train and burn them?
Yes,
That might be a good plan.
but is it really worth our time? They're already dead. That we've already made a fucking mess of the thing, and
Well,
Dude,
Doctor,
This is what separates us from the animals. It's worth
Dr.
5 minutes.
Wagner, how dangerous are their bodies if we just dumped them off the train? Now that they're dead, how long will the spores live?
Well, you've got them wrapped in blankets, right?
Yep.
That's the traditional treatment.
Well, it's like I had an old house that was built in the 50s with asbestos tile. We could either put carpet over it or pay tens of thousands of dollars for asbestos removal. We carpeted. So my advice is just toss them
Okay,
off
so we
the
carpet
train.
these guys.
As long
Well,
as
so Wagner, give me another med check after you get done with it. I need another
you
medical
doubt
check.
my advice?
I doubt your advice a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
He's crazy. There's a reason why he has a 5 social standing. All right. So here's the problem. The fungus itself, unless disinfected with some sort of hydrolyzing agent or burned, will survive the corpse. It won't be able to move, but if you throw it into if anybody comes across it, that's one thing. If you just throw it into an area that had, like, if you throw it in the woods, it'll infect the region and slowly begin to expand, right? So it'll get in the plants.
Don't want that.
Not if it's wrapped in blanket.
Just
And I
Well,
think that-
eventually,
We're gonna have the vaccine before.
It would have to be
then, is my
plastic.
thinking. So
Wrapped in
I don't know
blankets,
how
it would
long
still
takes to
infect.
Slow down and start back up.
I just say leave them where they are, and we'll set the train on fire as we deboard. We just set this train on fire. I'm serious. This is.
You're not the one standing next to them while you're driving the train. That's why.
I'm not saying set it outside until a fire until we get here, but
Well, if
this
they're
thing is
wrapped in a
infected,
blanket,
it'll
the
burn
spores
it.
aren't going anywhere.
right.
well, that's true. It would take a very long time. Now,
Right.
eventually, but what could happen is that the smell of the bodies attracts fauna that, your normal decompositional creatures, worms, insects, that kind of stuff that would normally be very active on a dead body. They will be attracted to it. So
We're gonna
yeah,
leave
I mean,
the station in 4 hours. How
true,
many-
2 hours if you turn the speed back up.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm just thinking expedience, but so either dump
if
them
you-
off the train.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. If you throw them off the train, your opinion is that ultimately insects will get I mean, even if you wrap them in blankets, even if you wrap them in carpets, insects will eventually get at the bodies because of the naturally
Sure.
decomposition process. And those insects will be likely get infected.
Yeah.
If you don't deal with the cordyceps fungus itself with with either fire or some sort of relatively powerful disinfecting agents that will kill the fungus, it will continue to live on these bodies.
Yeah, basically
Do you
we're
have any
just
specters?
dropping 3 time bombs off in the woods. So
Yeah,
where they
don't
are.
drop them off the
Yeah.
train. Don't drop them off the train. Just put them in one of the beds, actually.
I'm not touching them. I'm leaving right where they are, and they're stepping around them. We covered them up, and then maybe we should weight them down a little better when we speed up this train. There's more wind's going to come through here.
You spray them with some Roundup.
That'll fix them. It would
Okay,
so Roundup would certainly take its toll on the fungus itself, but you have to spray you have to sort of immerse the body in it.
And
Right.
then everybody who's in the area would have cancer now.
okay. The bodies are covered now. Leave them where they are. When we get to the town, we'll be the first ones to get vaccinated, and then we can handle the bodies differently.
Well, yeah, once we find the things, but yes, looks like we'll set everything we come across on fire. So get your fire starter skills ready. I hope
Well-
you'll play that next time we get to that town. You'll play the fire starter Prodigy song.
Well, I just want to point out that this train is your ride home too.
Yeah, we don't want to set the train on fire.
I'm
Because
setting it all
the
on
town that you're going to is like 120 miles away from the farm, and it was like a 6-hour drive
Right.
or an 8-hour drive. It was pretty far from the city, so you're probably 300 miles, maybe, or between 250 and 300 miles away from the city and the gin and tonic, or the sliced lime. I mean,
I'm gonna ask. Whoever, maybe Doyle, if he wants to go back, maybe poll the rest of the passengers, or take a manifest of anything else that might be on this train that might be a better covering, like sheeting or other things we could drop over the bodies. But I'm not touching these suckers again. But I'm happy to bury them in a pile of blankets or whatever.
well, there are more sheets and blankets, and if you're willing to sort of grab the ones that look a little disheveled, there's a fair amount. I mean, there's 6 beds worth of bedding in here.
Right, but we know 2 of those beds were covered in
Infected?
gooey engineer parts.
Well, it's pretty easy to tell which ones have been used, and it's this one here, and this one here.
Okay, so maybe we pull the blankets off the others and just cover them up some more.
Okay.
Or actually, maybe we, Doyle, I don't know if you want to sit down or just stand here, but maybe we put one over one of the seats that you'll be sitting on and to steer the train. And then we'll use the rest of the bedding to cover these bodies as best possible. And I'll weigh it down with anything I see, like that metal the big metal, a first aid kit or anything else. I just want to weigh down the blankets so they don't blow in the wind because we have to speed up the train again.
Okay.
I'm getting the Cordie. I'm getting tired.
I'm getting the cord. He's getting the Cordie. So in the other train car, there are couches, which could be inverted over the bodies or something like that if you want to do that. They're just bigger and bulkier.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Build him a nice fort with couches.
There you go. Or couch cushions even.
Couch cushion, little cushion for it. Who here hasn't enjoyed a couch cushion for it? None, I say. Doyle, what do you want to do? That was my suggestion.
I think that's a great idea. Let's cover the bodies first. Do we want to stop the train, put the bodies off, burn them?
No.
No. All right.
That's the one thing we decided. Yeah, we're not,
All right. Got it. Okay.
because then they'll
All right.
just, they'll still be infected.
Yeah, unless
If we
you
burn them, they won't be, but that's too much time. So we just want to get to the town and.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you stop the train's barely moving now as it is. You stop the train, you got off, you dragged the bodies off, and you covered them in some sort of incendiary and lit them. I mean, it would be a couple hours probably.
And then we
burn
have
them
to
down.
wait for them to burn because we can't just leave the fire unattended. Yeah.
Well,
True.
let's get back to the part where we have to physically touch these bodies again. I don't want to touch them. If you guys want to do that, then be my guest. But I would just rather step over them and then have to touch.
You
them.
could use the dishwashing gloves.
Yep.
Um,
Man, look how pretty my hands are and not wrinkle free.
Let's just go.
I just go. I agree. Let's cover the bodies thoroughly and step on the gas.
Okay. So
He
Is
means
that what you guys are gonna do?
turn the dial.
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a hyper complex system.
Let's roll.
Okay. All right. So you guys go ahead and do that. Captain Black, I'm assuming you're going to be the only one doing the train. Are you gonna stay in the train compartment?
Well, yeah, apparently the rest of the crew decided that I'm gonna be the one to stay by the end.
You're the captain.
I'm the captain, whatever.
Yeah, Captain,
Um,
I'm fully happy to volunteer. I have zero skills in anything I was being related to a train
I'll tell you,
driving.
see
So-
this lever? Push it forward to go a little faster, pull it back to go a little slower.
Let's check. Did you see when the game
Whoa,
master made me
slow down.
trip?
What was that again?
Yeah. Did you see when the game master made me almost die falling in between train cars on a slow moving train?
I
I
would
can't take
ask
these kind of chances.
for Dr. Wagner to take a look at me and heal me up a little bit,
Okay.
since I am wounded.
And I am fully covered. I've got gloves and mask, and
Yeah, Wagner's in he's busted out his PPD.
so I'm.
He, he looks like he's coming to see E.T.
Right.
So Wagner, do you go into the engine car, or do the Captain Black? Do you go back into the passenger car?
Don't infect the passenger car.
Before we
Yeah,
speed up
maybe
the
I'd better
train.
go up to the engine car.
Okay, so Wagner, you go in there. You have to step. You see, there's a blanket on this guy now, and you're just like, I guess I'll step over that and come in here. You're gonna take a look at Captain Blackaroo and see if he's okay. Well, he's taking a punch. Looks pretty hard. You've got some analgesic spray that you can put on there and something like that. So go ahead and roll a med check.
Have some Bactine. I got a little whiskey in this glass.
Yeah, Captain Black, you can tell that Dr. Wagner's been drinking. The smell of whiskey is quite robust on him. And now you knew Wagner was, there's a reason why this brilliant scientist is now a member of a crew of a ship. But you weren't sure the reason. Maybe it's because he's a drinker.
My whole crew is drinkers. I got it.
That's true. All right. That's true. It is called the gin and tonic for a reason, isn't it?
I know.
All right. Give me a med check, Dr. Wet. Or was it the 16 that you just rolled? Oh, no. I need another one. You're checking out the boss.
Another one. Okay.
No problem. You roll. Give me 2d6.
Yeah, like, Doctor, what are you doing with that slingshot?
Don't ask.
Bend over and cough.
7 points. All right, you get 7 points back. Basically, it was non-lethal damage. The guy just punched you really hard in the jaw. Your jaw is sore, and you've got a nice bruise, but the doctor sprays some analgesic on there, makes the pain go away. He checks your teeth real quick. There's no loose teeth or anything.
What about your
You're fine.
nostrils? Yeah, respiratory.
Yeah. Do you, Wagner? Do you do a quick nostril and ear check, ear canal and
Well,
sclera
I'd
check?
say that gold tooth needs to come out.
That gold tooth is going to be the death of you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, while he's patching you up, you could tell that he's doing a surreptitious Cordie check on you. No incidents of Cordie that you can see. The sclera seemed fine. There's no polyps. So far, so good, Captain. All right. So Jix, you're gonna go in there and turn up the dial and get back up to max speed, right?
Turn it up to 11. Yeah.
Turn it to 11. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you can
I'm
hear the
on
engine
max
kind of.
I got my
as the-
dishwashing gloves on. I got my mask on, and I'm doing the best I can.
a big scarf. All right. So yeah, you reach over there and you're like, you guys can see him. He's like reaching over the body in the chair and kind of, Weber is definitely doing
Cautious.
everything. He's very cautious about touching these things. He's already been like, I don't want to touch anybody. I don't want to move anybody. If I get this, I'm killing all of you first. But you can see him sort of like reaching over, and he does. And he turns it back up. And essentially, it's full speed. Which he turns it up to, and you get back to going about 20 miles an hour. There is a fair amount of air blowing through here now because there's no windscreen, but you're thinking the blanket forts are holding. You don't see any of the powder kind of leaking out. From
I'm staying upwind of all the bodies too, so they'd blow that way.
Well, unless you're standing on the control mechanism, you're going to have to be downwind from the body. So the wind is coming
I said I covered one of the seats with a blanket. Right, so I was going to sit in that chair and command the.
Well, that would be this seat. Shoot, I can't.
One that the dead body's not in.
Yeah, it's this seat right here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you could get in there. So you're going to get in that.
I don't want to get in that if I don't have to.
All right, you're going to sit there. Wind's blowing in your face. The smell of and actually, it smells very nice. The night's coming on. Sunset. You get, the smells of the evening are coming in. It's actually with, the bodies haven't started to decompose yet. So there's no like dead body smell yet, but
the only other thing I'm going to do while I'm here is take a quick look around for records to see where this train might have gone. If it went anywhere just between these two places.
Well, it goes other places, right? So
what I'm saying, it definitely infected wherever it went. So,
I don't know. So yeah, there's no log or anything like that you can see.
That's what I was looking for as a log.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like that.
All right.
All right. Is anybody so you've got another probably 2 hours on this train. Is anybody doing anything else? So I'm assuming Jix is going to spend that time driving the train, and Captain Black is going to spend the time advising him on how to drive the train, right? Or no?
I'll give him a quick lesson.
Turn the knob, press the button, that kind of stuff.
There you go.
What about the rest of you? Everybody else seems fine, and none of those guys, the other locals, seem at all interested in coming into the engine room. They're not going in there. They're frightened. They know what this is about, and they're like, we're not getting anywhere in there. And frankly, we're a little bit concerned that you guys are so cavalierly about this. But we're like, no, it's okay. Dr. Wagner's like, everybody seems fine. What are the rest of you guys doing? Tam, what are you doing?
So I am going back to my seat. Hold on a second. Let me get.
You're gonna change your appearance to make it look like you have the disease.
No. I'm going back to my seat, quietly contemplating. A little surprised that the captain didn't ask me to steer, me, the pilot, to steer the train since I have an engineering of 3, but agreeing with the other passengers that I'm happy to not go into that, infested room and sit back here and ride. So that's what I'm doing.
Captain's also would be surprised that you didn't volunteer to fly it, but there you go.
Weber just is not happy at all to be here, but he understands that nobody else needs to come up here. That the damage is already done. Where
we've already taken the risk. We should be the ones to stay up there.
Where did those passengers go?
They're in the very last seats.
They're in the back.
Yeah, as far away from that door as possible. They don't want to be anywhere near that thing.
They're also blocking your exit. Hey, Tom,
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hi, Tom.
when they inevitably turn on us, they're blocking the only exit off the car for you.
No, they're not. There's exits and sides and stuff like that. But it's just this door is essentially the door that takes you out.
I'm
Right
just
here.
trying to build some fear into.
I'm sitting in a chair where I can face towards the passengers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
just imagine if I hadn't gone up front. This is what happened. Webb rejects was in there playing gin rummy by himself, whatever, and suddenly turns around. One of the engineers bites him in the neck. Ah! That's basically what was going to happen. Then the situation we were in before, I said, "Hey, I'll just wander over this other train car real quick."
Yeah,
I was
you
not-
don't get
I would
what
never
lessons
do
that
that.
you
I would
do
never
at
do that to you guys.
That's exactly what happened, man.
What sort of DM do you think I am? Never.
Oh, you don't know
springs-
what you don't want to know the answer to that.
would never spring zombies on you unexpectedly like that. It's crazy. All right. So a very tense 2 hours passes. And you can tell that you're getting close to the thing. You could see lights, in the distance that you think might be the train terminal, and you begin to slowing things down. They've advised you, Pious Whiskey Guy has advised you guys that that this is what it looks like, that kind of stuff. But he's not going anywhere near there. He's like, I can't go in that train. But you do
All right.
see that there are some lights. So
Do we see lights or do we see fire?
lights.
Okay. Just wanted to double check. Okay, so
Yeah, and
I'll
it becomes
prepare to
increasingly
slow the
clear. You
train
could
down.
see out the window. You could see pretty far, and you can see that these lights look like a train, train station, a fairly rustic train station, but a train station nonetheless.
I will prepare to slow the train. Hey, Captain, I think I just pulled this knob back. Oh, it came off of my hand. Oh, okay.
Never pull the knob. Separate knob. Why separate
What does this red
knob?
button do?
What is that? The one that says explode the
Yeah.
train?
Inflate the autopilot through the belt, the waste tube.
It's the button that destroys it, that scuttles the ship. I can't remember what the destruction. It's this destruction or what it is. That they have on the it's self-destruct. Yeah, the self-destruct button.
Self-destruct. Yeah.
All right, so you guys start slowing down the train. You get down it, and you miss the station by a little bit, but still quite close. And so you have to get off the train and walk down the tracks a little bit back to the thing. And everybody gets off the train and walks down the tracks a little bit because you guys aren't used to driving this train, and you missed the target a little bit. But something is eerily quiet.
The train station, the town.
Sorry, I was on mute.
It's quiet.
It's so quiet that none of my dynamic lighting is working. Hold on, let me check.
All I see
It is supposed to be
blackness.
working.
Anybody see anything? All I see is blackness.
All right, here we go. Let's see if this even works. Why is that not working? It should be working. Maybe it's because you guys don't have a ton of light on you. So I'm going to give you guys, hold on a sec.
Let there be light.
I'm going to give you guys some light. Hold on a second. Weber first. I'm going to give you, let's just go with 1,000. I'm going to give everybody, yeah, here we go. There we go.
Okay.
Better?
Yep, I see things now.
All right, I'm going to give a couple of you 1,000 all player so that you guys can see things even if you're moving around. Yeah, basically you guys walk back. You undershot the thing. You were trying to be conservative, and you undershot the town essentially. So you had to walk up the tracks from the south to the north to get to the train station. This building right here is a train platform. There's a what looks to be some sort of solar array collector here, probably for battery charging. There's a little building here, that kind of stuff, but you don't see any people.
Okay.
And the town is quiet. And other than the light that is here, sort of, there's a light on like a lantern on a thing that's hanging on the train station, sort of to light the track area and light this platform. You don't see any other lights. It's probably about 11 o'clock at night, 11:30.
So I will, I guess, you guys have any thoughts? I was gonna turn to Isaac and say, where do you think where do you think your contact will be, and what's the best way to get there?
Well, his house is he has a house at the other end. He runs he runs a tack shop and stuff like that and works on trucks and things like that. So his shop is down at the other end of the town. The town isn't very large, just a few buildings. You can see that there is a large, what looks to be a sort of a tavern or something like that. Yeah, there's this is the depot. And you can see off to the tavern. Okay. There is a tavern. You can see some other things sort of in the distance. There's a building here. You're not sure what it is though, where you guys are standing.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a recommendation to these other train passengers. This looks bad. I suggest each of you grab something that if it's not a true weapon, something you can at least push somebody who's infected away from you. That'll let one of us deal with them.
The guy runs back to the train, grabs a couch, and he's like, "Okay, I'm ready."
Okay.
Well, he's like, "Well,
tools or tools that are nearby or whatever."
Well, there's a few shops down in the main area, over down the street from the tavern.
Let's investigate this building first. See what we got.
There'll be axes and stuff there.
Commander Doyle, I take it to you're the security expert. You tell us how we should proceed in investigating clearing these buildings. Weberjick says no interest in being the hero again of the story. He wants to hide on the back and not die of Cordie. But he's perfectly happy to let Eric go.
What's going to be, Captain? Everybody's looking to you for guidance. You're the captain.
Oh, I thought he was talking to
I was talking to Coffin Doyle. Yeah, I was.
Coffin. You talked. I thought you said captain.
No, he's our security.
That's true.
What I said was Commander Doyle. I was just giving him a promotion to whatever, spoon ladler extraordinaire.
What soon is it?
Wait. Okay. So. I want to. I'm not sure. Hold on. I really want to. If this area is totally dead,
well,
I mean, I assume that the fungus, the spores have ravaged this whole area. I am gonna assume
it's possible. I mean, so if you talk to Isaac and those guys, they've been to this town a couple of times, and it's only like 11:30, right? So most of these guys are farmers, that kind of stuff. And townspeople are generally speaking, this planet is an early to bed, early to rise planet because of its agricultural nature. But there is a big tavern, and you guys remember the one that you guys were in the city that went late. I mean, it was basically like we're staying open until everybody leaves. So what Isaac and some of the others will tell you is that, there are usually people out and about, and I don't hear anything.
Isaac, do you have any clue where the medicine might be? Any clue at all?
We dropped it off and left it here for pickup. There was a couple of guys that Tobias knew that we're going to pick it up and get it out to the outlying farms and get it distributed properly. But we didn't stick around for them to show up. Everyone here in this town essentially knew what we were about. They were friends of Tobias. Tobias knew a bunch of people here. They knew we were bringing the medicine that we stole here to help them.
Okay, Isaac. Okay, friends. We must have a baseline assumption that everybody here is dead and they are turned into fungus zombies. So this is a red alert
Yeah,
situation.
Don't wander off. Yeah, I agree with you.
Don't wander off. Stay close, and if you see someone, try to talk to them. If they don't talk back, assume they're a zombie and stay back. Meanwhile, try to think where the medicine might be. I mean, is there a place where they keep valuables, or think.
Well,
It-
I mean,
yeah.
they don't have a bank or anything like that. I guess it's they, honestly, I don't know. We weren't here. They
But he
they were
knows where his
supposed
friend's
to
house is.
yeah, his friend, he says, my friend's shop is on the other side of town. Basically, he's like describing this. Basically, this town is essentially a big square, right? There's only one road, and it's and essentially the only lane is behind this depot, right? The town, there's sort of like it's essentially a lane. It's a town, it's sort of a town square, and all of the buildings are clustered around the open area that's behind the depot.
Right.
Now there are roads that go out and to other people's farms and that kind of stuff. This is those farms, are typically probably as low as 2 miles away and as many as 40 miles away
Mhm.
that feed agricultural products to this town. But so there's shops and things that people, when they come out here, to get equipment, there's shops, but there's nothing like a bank. These people don't use money.
Okay. Well, okay. It's dark, right?
Yeah. Well,
right,
I
so-
mean, as dark as I can make it on stupid Roll20.
Got it. Okay. Well, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to stumble around in the dark, among a bunch of fungus zombies.
Effectively, you'll be able to see, right? So I've given you guys, so from a meta standpoint, you guys, I've given all 5 members of the party 1,000-foot vision, which everybody can see. So it won't effectively, from a game standpoint, the darkness won't be a factor.
What he's hoping for is that then we split into individual groups and go wandering off by ourselves, and then pick us off one by one.
Let's all stick
That'll work.
Mhm.
together.
One of us.
And let's do then if we don't know where the medicine is and we don't have a clue or a hint, we got to do a step-by-step search. Might as well start here in this area.
Okay.
What's this? Is this a
This building you're talking about right here?
Right here, sir.
Where's that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's a train station. I mean, it has the town name on a little wooden carved platter, plank over the top. There's a couple of doors that lead out onto the platform. The platform is raised, so you're about, I don't know, 5 feet off the ground on this platform, but there's stairs that go down around the other side. You think there's an area here that has stacks of like wood and stuff in it, and it looks like maybe like sometimes cargo would be stored there, dependingly, but most of the cargo is brought in at various points. It's agricultural products that would be loaded by stevedores or what have you. So you do see that there is what looks to be over here a broken wagon and some other sort of next to the train tracks detritus.
Okay, so let's just assume. I mean, I hope to be happily surprised, but let's assume as a baseline that we are surrounded by fungus zombies. Let's stay together and let's do a step-by-step search. We're going to do our best to find the bag of medicine, and then we're going to scram.
It was 2 large crates is what it was. I mean, they were 2 substantial crates. The crates are like 6 by 6 by 6, so they're pretty big.
All right.
The problem is you don't know if they're still in town, because the plan was that they were gonna crack these open. They were gonna start distributing out to the places where they knew cordyceps had already set in, and try and inoculate people out in the fields. But you're not sure what's going on here, but it's awfully quiet. And even even the locals will say it's awfully quiet.
Our goal is to get this to find the medicine and get it back to Toothick, right?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. I vote we start just a search of the train station here.
Okay.
I will start, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Okay, you just peer in there. Yeah,
Yes,
it
sir.
looks so. You sort of pop your head in there and look around. You don't see any people in there. It's pretty much empty. It looks like a train station, and it looks like basically it's been closed down for the day. But other than that, there are stacks of schedule. There's a thing on the wall, clipboard on the wall that has the handwritten schedule. There's some paper on a couple of the desks that talk about where it's like, oh, this guy's farm is going to deliver. There's some handwritten notes that say, big harvest at such and such farm expected on Tuesday. That kind of thing. So there's basically train stuff. Yeah, there's stuff flammable in there. There's paper, written on it. The building itself is made of wood.
Right. I'm keeping an eye out for something like lighter fluid, gasoline, oil, something like that.
Okay. There are some lanterns in there. Well, one of the light that you saw is essentially a big lantern, which was hanging on one of those sort of cross trees over near the track to light the platform. There are a couple of more lanterns and a small keg of small barrel that you pop the cork on that's nearby that smells like kerosene. It's probably got about 3 or 4 gallons of it in there.
Okay. Anything to light them with? Any matches or anything?
Yeah, I mean there'll be long stem
matches somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, to light the lanterns. They look, honestly, these matches look sort of homemade. Have you ever seen homemade lucifer matches?
Yeah.
They kind of look like those. They're homemade. They're on longer sticks, and the sticks aren't uniform, right? So they're not. No, they're perfectly carved. Some of them are a little bent, that kind of thing.
I'll take the sticks and the keg. I'm not going to take the individual lanterns, but we've got something. So
all right, guys, I found this. Drink it. It'll help us. Here, nebulize this hand sanitizer. All right. So what about the rest of you? So are you guys on the platform? You helping them sort of search the room? Coffin, there's nobody in here. But it doesn't look disturbed, I guess is the thing. It doesn't look like there's anybody fights in here. It looks like they just shut down for the day and went home.
Do I see any 6x6x6 crates?
Not in here, you don't.
Damn it. All right then. What's this rug here?
Just a rug.
All right. I'm gonna.
Suspicious.
It's not a mimic.
You look out the window, Coffin. Give me an intelligence check.
Sure. Actually, I just asked if that rug were a mimic. Okay.
Not as far as you know. You have to grab it.
Sorry, wrong.
I laughed. Captain laughed. The rug laughed. It was fun.
I'm going to look out the window and try to peer into the darkness and see what I see.
Yeah, give me an intelligence check. 10. Yeah, you can't see much. It's pretty dark out there, but you can see exactly what Isaac was talking about. It's essentially a central sort of plaza that probably doubles as a main street kind of thing. It's not a very big town. You can see off in the distance what looks like to be some buildings sort of at the end of the plaza, but there does seem to be a single lone truck parked in the middle of the plaza. And something seems to be on the hood of the truck.
Can you point out the truck, please? I'm sorry. I don't see it. The truck.
Move down by the lower window. Move your character down by the lower window. This window here. Yeah. All right. This is the truck.
Yeah, that's fungus.
And there's something growing. You can't really make it out, but there's something growing on what looks to, or either something standing or attached to the hood of the truck.
Okay. I see it now.
Also looks like 2 crates.
I see crates. Okay. I see. All right. Holy hell. I think I found our 2 crates, and I see a whole bunch of fungus, and I got a feeling we have several zombies.
Is it 11 already?
Oh, well, it's 2 minutes till, but we're about to get into combat.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you don't see any. So so as Doyle, as you're looking out the window, you see the truck. You see something growing on the truck. You can't make out what that is. You do see what looked to be a couple of the crate. I mean, it looks like it could be the crates. 2 big 6-foot cubes. Now, this is an extended cab kind of electric truck. So it's big enough to hold both crates, and it looks like it could be the crates that you're looking for. But there is something on it, and there's also, I mean, but you don't see any people moving.
Oh, shit.
What?
There's a lot of fungus down there.
This may indicate that the cure isn't as good as we had hoped.
Well, no one's used it yet.
Yeah, the crates seem to be intact. As you are looking out the window, you see some movement below you on the street, relatively close. You see what looks to be an animal sort of walking through across here. You're not sure that it notices you, but it looks like this.
That's not a healthy animal.
Oh shit. All right.
And then you see another one behind it walking through there.
Oh boy. All
Neither
right.
one of those are healthy.
And then another.
Uh-huh.
And then another.
Right.
There seem to be several of these animals wandering around. Now, they don't seem to be looking at you per se, but they are sort of walking around. At which point Coffin says, everybody get inside. You guys go in? So these animals, they look like they used to be dogs. Are just sort of like, and they're not like loping around. They're not chasing after you. You're not sure that they even know you guys are there.
Right.
Remember, you're just sort of peering into the darkness from that window. But you hear Doyle say, "Get in here." And
I do not tap on the windows.
Everybody sort of comes in. I don't know if Dr. Wagner does everybody go in?
I'm in.
Well, I'm not gonna be left out in the cold. Well, what is this big vat? Is that a big vat of water?
No, it's actually a solar energy collection and transfer thing. It's for recharging the batteries of the solar train.
All right.
It just looks like a big vat of water.
I'll go in the house with
With the arm that reaches out over the tracks to
connect
water.
I guess I should probably inspect the crates for.
Well, I mean, you don't have the crates. I mean, you could look over there. You're not close to the crates. These dogs seem to be, well, they're just sort of wandering about. They're the only thing that you've seen moving, though.
Well,
but Coffin will show you that there's a truck out there. It's dark, so it's hard to see. But your eyes, Dr. Wagner, those look like the crates. They're in the bed of that truck.
3 eyes.
That's true. You use the back one. You sort of turn around. Let me look at it with this. The targeting eye has infrared.
It has everything.
They're cold.
Yeah,
It
they're
can
not.
see colors that you can't even imagine.
Yeah, you don't see anything with a temperature moving around out there, including the dogs. The dogs look to be ambient.
All right.
Right. All right.
So
Cool.
go, guys. Those are zombie dogs. There's no pulse, no heat, no heartbeat.
All right.
All right. It is after 11. Do you guys want to stop there?
I should.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
It is a work night.
All right. We will stop there.
Thank you.
And the next time we play, we will figure out what you guys are going to do in Zombie Town.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, you guys. This was awesome.
Okay,
Good
bye,
night.
guys.
Night all.
Take care.
All right. See y'all. Hold on. Let me stop the recording here.